Go time. Go time.
That could have been gross.
All right. We're all here. I feel like I can only hear out of my right or my left ear.
That's because you're deaf in one ear.
That could be it. So it's warm here.
Toasty.
Rivers come up a lot.
Dude.
I think we're finally in runoff. We've been talking about it for weeks, and I think we're finally here.
I think we've been talking about it for 3 weeks,
Yeah,
maybe a month,
We've
actually.
been talking about it for a while now. But yeah, it's come up. I mean, Gunny's running 3,500 CFS. It was today. Still a ton of snow in the high country.
Yeah.
Tons.
It's absolutely insane how much snow is up there.
Yeah.
And it's going to take a while, I think, for it to come down.
Yeah, it's gonna last a long time too.
Oh, yeah. I think it's
The river's going to be big.
Huge.
Until next runoff.
yeah, right. It's just going to keep going. I mean, the good thing is we got water. We have the water. But it is providing or, bringing up some challenges. But yeah, Gunny's up 3,500. It's muddy. Maybe trying to run some trips this weekend. We'll see, man. If people want to go, I mean, it's like you can still chuck a worm,
Right.
Yeah, dude.
drown some worms,
They'll
and
probably eat it.
and get in there. East is up. It's 1,800 in muddy. I mean, 1,800 is pretty big for the East.
That's really big for the East. I don't think we saw 1,800 last year.
I don't think we saw 800 last year.
That's a good point.
Taylor's up too. I mean, it's running 1,100 at Almont and 660 out of the dam, but it's clear. Taylor's clear. All the creeks coming in. We've been up and down Taylor last couple of days, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. But it's clear, and all the creeks are clear, and I haven't fished it, not the river at least, or the
Right.
CNR.
Yeah, I haven't been up to the CNR. but-
It's sat at 660 for a while. I feel like I don't think it's moved too much, or anywhere between 650 and 700.
Yeah, it seems like it's been hanging at 665, right?
Yeah, dude. It could be good. I mean, I won't really ever know this year, but
Yeah,
Well,
right.
It could be good, but you could also die.
I think it's gonna pump, dude. I think once everything up high starts coming in the lake, I think they're
Yeah.
gonna start pumping it.
I think so.
Well-
And we're starting to see things come up.
I mean, 2 years
But-
ago, what did they release out of the Taylor? Was it 1,200?
I
Or
think
is
it was 1,800.
Yeah, dude.
I
That's
think they
like the-
released the
It got
max.
massive.
That was scary.
Yeah.
Didn't we lose a couple kayakers that year?
I don't know if we did. Maybe.
I mean,
I
that
don't
was
know that for
scary
sure.
looking.
Yeah, it was big.
Yeah.
But again,
There was definitely a couple fatalities. I don't know
Right.
yeah,
what venue they were traveling downriver in.
Right.
yeah. Who knows if they're private boaters or what? But I know there was some fatalities the last 2 years
Yeah.
ago or 3 years, whatever it was.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, who knows? CNR could be fishing well. I haven't fished it. Been kind of putting my efforts into other things lately with
sure.
everything being muddy. But yeah, we'll see if this weekend, if we get a couple trips. But I have no doubt it's going to break $4,000 in the next couple days.
I mean, how many people did you guys see a ton of people at the catch and release when you went past it the other day?
We were making bets every day.
Right.
Yeah.
How many cars were you seeing? 10?
What did we see?
We saw
The other day we saw 5. Yesterday we
Yeah.
saw 5
Okay.
cars.
That's not bad.
The day before there was a bit more.
Yeah,
But no, we went up early.
yeah.
So there was only 3 cars, I
But there
think.
was definitely 10 there this afternoon.
Right.
Oh, was there? Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
come noon, you're toast.
Well,
there.
we're starting to see all the tourists come into town
True.
too, and all the people that are the tailwater junkies, man.
yeah.
I'm
All the way
just-
for Denver.
I'm just not one of them, dude. I can't do it.
I'm not either, but I mean,
If I have to, I will.
yeah, exactly.
But
desperate times, man.
so you're hearing 3 different voices for the first time on 3 different mics today.
We done come up.
Yeah, we got it going. Hopefully, it all works out for us.
I
But
kind of miss sharing a mic with Ryan.
I know, man.
so we got Dane Scott on the microphone as well today with Ryan McVeigh. Dane Scott has been on the podcast before a couple times. We've done it.
Welcome
Twice.
back, buddy.
Yeah, thank you.
But yeah, it's good to sit down and have some beers and talk about random shit like we've been doing. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's gonna be tough for a while, and it's gonna be. I don't know what to do.
I mean,
But
yeah.
people are, and that's the hard part too about being a guide too. It's like people are gonna be here and want to
Right.
fish, and it's like we got to figure it out.
Right. I
You're
mean,
gonna have to figure out what to do.
they could either go joyriding with Scenic, or they could go down with you guys with the fly rod in their hands.
I
I
don't
don't
know,
know.
man.
Yeah.
I don't know what's better there. It's gonna be a lot of scenic floating going on for a while. A lot of whitewater rafting going on.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, we got a couple emails we're gonna go over, and we haven't been receiving too many emails, but hit us up. It's theguidedtrip@gmail.com. Pretty simple. Anything you want to talk about, we'll try and cover. We definitely have some emails that we haven't quite covered, just because we're waiting for the right time to go over them. But these two we can go over pretty fast. But this one's from Hunter. It says, "Hey guys, really enjoy the podcast. Thanks."
Thank you.
I'm going on I'm going on a road trip for the summer, and I'll be doing some fishing and fly tying on the road. I was wondering if you had any advice on how to approach new water. I'm from western Wisconsin and haven't fished out west at all. Any advice on what to tie up and fishing techniques would be appreciated.
Wisconsin, huh? All right.
Never been out there.
They have good cheese.
They got pike out there, dude?
I'm sure they do.
I bet they got pike or muskie, dude. They might have,
Ooh, or both.
I don't know, dude.
They
I don't
got-
know much
they got a
about
lot of
it.
water in
or
Wisconsin.
both.
Hunter, hit us up, dude.
Yeah, dude. Let's figure out where you live. Let's do some fishing out there.
Because we got nowhere to go right now.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. But yeah, I mean, we talked about this a little bit before the podcast, but it'd be easier to know where you're heading out west a little bit. A lot of people have different opinions on where west is. But, bugs, I would say for most of the trout streams out west are going to be about the same.
Right.
Pretty staples, I would guess.
Yeah, as long as they're sticking to their normal, everyday run-of-the-mill freestones.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that would be, make sure to do the research on the river
Right.
for sure. a little
Yeah. And I think that's what we need to address a little bit too. Like, approaching new water, obviously we do stick around here a lot, but there is new water that we have approached
For sure.
and what to
Yeah.
do there. And it can be tough it can be pretty intimidating walking into new water and having no clue about what's going on at all.
Yeah, for sure it can be.
And, there's definitely some articles out there and websites that talk about it some, but even just walking up to the river from the parking lot or wherever you're going, you can kind of address the situation, whether you're seeing big bugs, terrestrials, hopping through the grass or
bit.
whatever.
Yeah.
And weather dependent, too.
Absolutely. Well, and good fish habitat is good fish habitat no matter where you go. You learn how to identify where fish are going to be. They're pretty much going to be there in most rivers in that good sitting zones.
Yeah.
And just coming into the situation, look for bugs flying around, look for bugs on the water, on the bank. That's what I would suggest when I'm walking into New River. I'm always looking around,
Absolutely.
looking for things
Yeah.
flying. I'm looking on the rocks, like just on the bank before I even look under a rock.
Right.
On my way to the river, I'm watching what's happening a little bit,
Yeah, absolutely.
seeing what I
Yeah.
see.
You can flip rocks, you can seine the river, you can do all kinds
There's
of things
there's lots of different things to do there.
to figure out what's in there, what they're eating that day is maybe
That's
a
the
little bit
that's the
different,
tough
but
part. Ryan's definitely right. We're look for fishy water. Obviously, you want to get to those areas where you think those fish are going to be, and work those areas pretty hard. And sometimes they might be holding just off those areas or
Right.
in faster current or whatever. That's a little bit experimenting that you're going to have to do on the river.
Right.
Um,
And that can be difficult even on water, half
Yeah.
the challenge is figuring out where those feeding lanes
definitely.
are. They're not always the same. They're not
sure.
always, good habitat's good habitat, but those fish, if fish riffles, if you find fish in riffles, that's a good place to be. They might be sitting on the edge or on meanders, look there.
yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't be afraid to probe everything to start off and just fish everything that looks remotely
I would definitely
fishy.
start in the fishy areas.
Yeah, definitely start.
Before I'd start fishing other areas, I'd
Right.
definitely start where that looks fishy. I'm going
Right.
to try that.
Well, and another good thing, before you even approach a river, don't be afraid to be that guy that goes into the fly shop to ask some guides what's going on.
Yeah,
you know?
or call the fly shop.
That's a great point.
Right,
Dane knows.
Yeah. Yeah, I worked in a fly shop for a long time.
right.
I think anybody reasonable that's working at a fly shop, they just want to talk about fishing a little bit. So you ask the right questions, you're going to get it out.
Exactly.
Maybe not like the most secret backpacking hole that you can find, but like they'll tell you what's going down a little bit.
Exactly.
And I mean, that's how they're going to make their money too, you know, and whether or not I mean, it was a little bit different situation for you working in a fly shop because you were also guiding, you know, out of that fly shop. And it's like your goal is, all right, I'm going to try and book a trip.
For
you
sure.
know, obviously, like, hey, you want the best info, book me.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'll show you, you know, I'll take you down the river, show you where to go. I'll put the bugs on, you know, everything like that.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit different for you. But I mean, yeah, if you walk into a fly shop or call a fly shop and ask the right questions, I think it's better to go in
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
dude.
be personable with somebody.
I think so.
Then you can corner them.
Yeah, exactly. Give me all your info.
Oh, what are they biting on?
Give me all your info now. But I mean, as for bugs, it's, in my opinion, if I'm walking into a freestone I don't know, I'm gonna throw something I'm confident in.
Right.
You know, one of my confidence flies.
Exactly.
Whether it's an attractor or a natural or whatever, I'm going to throw something, you know, it could be a patch rubber legs and a pheasant tail, you
Right.
know, and depending on the water as well,
Yeah.
what I want to fish that day.
Right.
If I'm nymphing or this is a hard, you know, it can branch out
Right.
pretty far to how you want to go about
No,
it.
but I think you make a really good point there. I mean, oftentimes when I come in fairly clueless or I haven't fished in a while, you know, I start with the basics. You know, I start with my basic flies that I think are really effective. Nice.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, like you said, Pat's rubber legs. You know, it's a good, effective fly. Pheasant tail, it's a good, effective fly.
Hare's ear.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, and I mean
Great
this can depend too on water quality.
Of
You know,
course.
if there's a little bit a tint to the water, if it's bright clear, you know, you might not be throwing those flashy bugs.
Exactly,
You know, you
right.
might not be throwing this, and it's kind of tough to, you know, address like, hey, this is what you should be throwing right
Right.
now. I would say, you know, the podcast I did with Patrick Blacktail, where we
Right.
talked about our top 10 flies.
Right.
That's a good one to listen to. Go have a little idea on what we use for nymphs or streamers or dries or what we like. And those are, I know a lot of my flies were pretty basic flies. Same with Patrick, you
Right.
know, a lot of basic stuff that's like, hey, these are confidence flies for us. We're going to go through these flies before we start moving
Right.
to, you know, outlandish shit.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes old tricks are the best ones, you know? They're
Yeah,
they're
they-
still around for a reason, you know?
Exactly.
These patterns still exist for a reason because they're still super effective flies. They're great mimics.
Yeah, dude, the pheasant tail looks just like a mayfly nymph.
It really does.
I mean, yeah, and it can. That's the thing. It can look like a lot of different things.
Right.
If I were to do it, if I were to go fish a new freestone right now, it would have a pheasant tail on the rig. Probably
Right.
a size 16 pheasant
Right.
tail.
Yeah.
if I were to go out right now, I would not go out right now.
Right now, anywhere around here, no.
Yeah, that's another thing I was gonna say. I hope make sure you time your road trip. You know,
Oh,
if
yeah,
you're taking
definitely.
off work, this might not be the best time to start hitting the west.
Not now. It could be July or August, you know, before you might want to head out there. Maybe get away from some of those crowds too.
right.
Late July into August, early August. I mean, even late August this year is going to be good.
Yeah.
Still warm temps,
Definitely.
but so once you start, like, let's say you throw on that confidence rig, you know, like I said, could be nymph rig, could be hopper dropper, dry dropper, whatever. Assess the situation coming in, but once you catch a fish,
Pump the stomach.
Pump them.
yeah, exactly. You guys knew exactly where I was heading with that. but-
Nothing's gonna tell you what that fish is eating more than what that fish is eating.
if you have a stomach pump,
Which is something you should invest in
You
on
should.
exploratory trips.
definitely. I mean, there's no greater thing. I can't stress it enough. I've done it on this podcast
Yeah.
and talked about it to great lengths, but we're going to continue to talk about it
Yeah,
to great
right.
it's a
lengths.
great tool.
It is. And I mean, if
Absolutely.
you don't know anything about the river, like I said, confidence fly, throw something that
Right.
they might eat, you know, that looks natural to them. Boom, fish on, pump a stomach.
Right.
Get in the net and
Yeah.
pump its stomach.
And for those that haven't heard our previous podcast, don't pump every stomach. Just pump your first fish. See what's going
I
on.
pump them all. I need them to all be hungry when I come down the river.
Snatching mills.
But yeah, that's going to be your best option, I would say, for figuring out exactly what they're eating.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. And also, I mean, if you do come in the summer, look for rising fish.
Yeah.
That'll tell you where they are.
Exactly
Yep.
right.
Pretty
Yeah, that'll tell you exactly where those fish are holding.
Yeah.
Right. You know, in another great way, you know, just a good search or fly, you know, just throw streamers too. I mean, obviously that's not going to tell you what the fish are eating, but if you're striking,
I mean, you got a point.
if you show up and you're striking out and you can't figure out what they're eating, don't be afraid to slap some banks.
I mean, you can,
with the streamer. You know, you can move some fish. You could pick some fish up that you otherwise wouldn't
And again,
have.
we've talked about this
Right.
at length. That it's not my style.
Yeah, it's not your style. I'm all about
But
streamer
I
work.
mean, I'll do it if I have to. I'm not thinking like, man, I'm not catching fish. Better hook some meat.
That's exactly what I'm thinking.
I know. It's like, all right, I tend to believe in this. Maybe this is just me, but like, if they're not eating, I'm like, if they're not eating what I'm throwing, I don't take no for an answer. I'm
Right.
like, they got to be eating something.
They're gonna be eating
Exactly.
You know, like I'm not gonna walk out there and be like, oh, didn't catch one. You know,
Right.
I'm gonna be like, all right, I might catch one on something.
Right.
You know, yes. So streamer could work, but I'm gonna keep going through the bugs.
And yeah, don't be afraid.
Until-
Change up. Change
Yeah.
up all the time. I know it's tedious and it's a little annoying to have to do, but it's a great way to find out what they're eating, is throw a lot of different flies.
Oh, definitely.
Especially if you're looking at tailwater situations, you know. I mean, those fish are choosy, they're smart, they're clever. Yeah, you got to
That's
get
the hard
creative.
one when we get into tailwaters. I mean, obviously
Am
there's
I jumping the gun
tailwater
here?
flies, but no, you're not at all. I mean, when we get into tailwaters, there's obviously tailwater flies that are
Right.
smaller, and you know, I don't. That's a tough one too. It's like best thing if you are fishing a tailwater, I would say, Hunter, is to go to a shop and
Right.
talk to them and figure out exactly what's
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah. Get a guide.
Yeah, right. Hire us.
Don't hire me.
This is a perfect plug right there. Yeah, I mean, you know, if you can and you got the money, I've definitely had a lot of trips where people, you know, come to town. They're like, hey, here's my goal for the trip. I want to learn some info and I want to learn what these fish are eating. I'd like to fish on my own after this. You know,
Right.
I'm here for a week.
Yeah.
And I want to, you know, fish after this, but I'd like to learn some spots.
Really is a great way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You learn spots, techniques, and bugs. You know,
Or just show up to the fly shop with a case of beer and you'll have everybody drooling at you. You're like, I'll take you anywhere, man. Yeah. You keep buying beer like this, and I'll show you the best spots, dude. Get them drunk enough, they'll take you to anywhere. Don't let them drive, though. If they insist, maybe. I don't know.
yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, that's kind of that's how I would go about it.
Yeah.
And
No,
just
I
kind of
agree.
keep progressing from there.
I think the tailwater's a tough one, dude. I mean, there's some like staple flies you can throw in the tailwater, though. You know, like RS2s,
Right.
Things like that.
Exactly.
But it's
Midges,
But every
small betas.
tailwater has
Right.
like their one fly that like all the local people are like, oh, you need this.
Yeah,
You need to go out
exactly.
with this.
Right. That's when you got to get a guy drunk.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
where you get the guy drunk. You're like, all right. I'll show you. I'm ready now. 10 beers deep.
Yeah,
and-
dude, you're gonna get roped into a conversation where he pulls out his fly box.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, dude. Let me show you. Here, just take them, man. Just take 'em. You can have them, man. Here, you want some more? Here, take these.
I love a good, generous drunk guy.
Oh,
man.
yeah, dude. Like I said, dude, that's the key to our fly boxes is a case of beer, dude.
Uh-huh.
You want to learn what we're throwing? Yeah, get us drunk. And we will spill all the beans. Like, I'm not supposed to be telling you this. But if you go here and throw this,
If
if you see anybody, don't say my name.
you know you did good at the bar if you're getting a guy to say, I don't normally tell
yeah,
anyone, but...
exactly. You've done your job.
Or don't tell anybody. I'm going to tell you. Don't say a word,
Oh,
though.
I've seen people working at, you know, when I was working at the restaurant, I'd see people come in, they're fly fishermen just by looking at them. They got
Right.
the look,
Right.
like they got
Nice.
the yeah.
Super hot.
Yeah, dude.
Super hot, sunglass tan.
They got the look, and you can tell like they'll sit there and like sip a drink and like try and feel out people and listen to conversations.
Oh, yeah.
And like, all right, who do I need to talk to here to catch some fish?
Oh,
Yeah,
I've
Turns
seen-
out you got to go to the back of the house.
Right.
That's where we keep all the fishing guides.
That's where they all hang out. I've seen the guy creeping around the fly or the fly selection table. Sorry, I don't even know what that's called. Where all the flies are. just
What do you mean? Like the fly bins?
Yeah, the fly bins. Thank you. Fuck.
Jesus,
I
man.
just got started too.
Yeah. I've only had 2 beers, 1 beer.
But I've seen people creeping around there, poking their head around. Like,
Oh, yeah.
What are you talking about? Like, hey, I see
yeah.
you. I see you there, man.
No,
See-
yeah, dude.
Dane knows. Oh, yeah. I'm sure he's got some stories about
Yeah,
the
you
fly
got to be
shop,
quiet in a
people
fly
creeping
shop.
around.
Everyone's listening, man.
yeah.
Everyone's listening in a fly shop.
We'd all sit at the table and just like people would walk in. We'd start talking bullshit. Like, let's see who's listening, man.
Right.
Dude, I used to tie at that table.
Oh, gosh.
Oh my god, I've sold so many of my own flies from just straight off the vise. I'm like, fuck it, dude.
Dude,
Here
I
you go.
fished with this dude the other day. Tom, one of Colin's buddies, came in the gunny fly shop. I can't remember if it was this spring or last year. He came in the gunny fly shop. You were in there, so it must have been last year. You were in there, and you're tying up some wire worms. And he's like, dude, what should I be using? You're like, here, man, here's a couple of these. He ended up catching like a 25-inch rainbow on one of those wire worms.
Hell
dude.
yeah,
He
dude.
showed me the picture, yeah.
Holler.
Yeah, dude. He's like, oh, yeah, I met Dane. He worked at the fly shop. I caught that big fish on one of those worms he gave me.
Sick.
Yeah,
Super
so he
hard
was
to tie.
stoked.
Really interesting.
Super tough. So, yeah, I mean, going to the fly shop, that'll help you as well.
For sure.
But walking out there and just being very observant can do it too. And just,
Yeah.
taking your previous knowledge and trying to apply that. It's hard not knowing this guy's previous knowledge, and
Right.
what he's capable of, or has he ever fished a trout stream? That's a
Right.
tough thing to assess too. But in that case, if you've never done it, I would honestly say if you got the money, book a guide trip. They'll teach you rigging. They'll teach you everything about it. If they're good
Right.
at what they do.
What happens if you pump a stomach and they're just full of sculpin? Do you throw streamers in?
I don't know if you can find a stomach pump.
I don't think so.
There's a shop vac in this fish.
And I mean, learn your entomology, or you don't even need to know entomology to pump a stomach. You can literally pump a stomach, pump it into your hand, and then look in your fly box and go, "What do I have that looks like that?"
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
I'm not great at bugs. I'm not like,
Right.
oh, that's a BWO, that's
Right.
this, that's that. Like you learn things here and there.
Right.
But I've in the past I've done that a lot where I've just held the bugs in my hand and gone through my fly box.
Right.
Be like, all right,
Yeah,
cool.
dude.
What's the size?
I mean,
What's the color?
We did it at Pleasure Park the other day. We were striking out. We pumped a stomach, and we
Yeah.
ended up throwing size 20 pheasants. And
Yeah,
that's,
there you go.
That's what it looked like they were eating, and that's what we threw, and ended up picking up a lot of fish. But
Nice.
that's the game.
The pumic stump.
The pumic stomp.
Comic stump.
I've only had 2 beers too.
I know. I'm struggling already. The
One and
fly
a-
tying
Yeah, 2
station.
beers. Yeah. What is that called? Where do they keep
Where
all
the
them
flies
flies?
are.
Where do they keep all them flies? What's that called? So yeah, hopefully that helps a little bit. Like I said, you can email us back, let us know where exactly you're heading. We can point you in the right direction a little bit. Excuse me. Don't want to be burping into the microphone.
Yeah, especially if I have to talk into it later.
Our next email, like I said, hopefully that helps. But our next email comes from Jeff. Actually, one of our good buddies, Ben, referred him to the podcast. So thanks, Ben. Thanks, Jeff, for listening. Thanks for emailing us. This refers to our last podcast where we talked about, kind of what would you say, what would you do if somebody came up to you on the river and was asking, what kind of flies you're using, what, how's the fishing been, what, can I see what you're throwing, blah, blah. And, we can get into that a little bit too, just to recap. Right. But I mean, basically it depends on the person, depends on the situation, I would say, in my opinion.
I mean, yeah, you got to read the energy, like sometimes it's my energy. Sometimes the guy is perfectly nice, but I'm
like
not
I said,
really stoked on seeing anyone.
Yeah. If Dane walked up to me, I'd be like, dude, you got it, bro.
Right.
Like, you know what you're doing, dude. But I know Dane. Dane's a buddy. I'd be like, all right,
I don't
fuck
think
yourself.
I don't think Dane has it in him.
You
to
got
come
it
up and
figured
ask
out.
you.
You got it figured out. But I definitely tell Dane, like, oh, dude, they're eating size 20 this, they're eating size 6 this, or whatever. But it depends. I would say it depends. Like, is this person gonna go and just rape your hole.
Right.
You know, I'm not gonna you know, like,
Wait, what are we talking about here?
your fishing hole.
Oh. I don't tell
Your
those
fishing
people
hole.
anything.
You're actually not supposed to talk to those people if they're raping holes.
Oh, thanks for the info. And I'm going to violate you
report
in
them
the
to
bushes.
the authorities. So I mean, it definitely can go either way. Who you're, you know, depending on who you're talking to, what you're gonna say, and
Right. Well, so me and you talked about this the other day, but I guess kind of Dane, we haven't really heard from you much on the topic. We're kind of curious to see how you handle the situation.
I guess, dude. I mean, there's a lot of factors that play into like when a fish is eating something. Like if you're fishing it, 6 inches below the surface, that could be a whole lot different than if you're nymphing it.
Right.
So I'll give somebody like the broad spectrum. Of
Yeah, there you
like
go.
what's
Yeah.
going down. Like, okay, if they're eating blue wing nymphs, I'll be like, man, they're eating blue wing nymphs.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not gonna tell you
but what if they push? Like that was our whole thing. Like what if they push? So like if I came up to you, you didn't know me, I was just some asshat walking down the trail, and I was like, hey man, like how's the fishing? You're like, oh dude, it's good. What are they eating?
Dude, it depends. Like, okay, if they're eating a pheasant tail, like if I'm just getting them to eat a pheasant tail, I'll say a pheasant tail.
Yeah.
But if it's something that like I went and was like, oh shit, dude, this thing looks cool.
Yeah.
And, like nobody's ever heard of it.
Right.
I'll be like, dude, they're eating a pheasant tail.
Right.
Yeah. Like, oh, I
No,
say
I mean,
it pretty vague too sometimes. It's just like, oh, mayfly nymphs, dude.
Right.
Like, what color? Ah, natural.
Right.
Because they probably will eat a pheasant tail.
Yeah.
They might not crush it as
Right.
hard as whatever you're throwing,
Yeah.
but you got to have a little bit of secrecy.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm also
No, definitely.
I'm also fishing too. It's my time.
Yeah.
I'm also not going to break it down like, oh, they're actually eating pheasant tails just subsurface,
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
emergence. I don't have time for that, man. I'm trying to go fish.
And I know some people would just give you straight up, be like, oh, dude, they'll just lie to you. Like, stoneflies, man.
Right.
Like, and it's like, okay, cool, what? Like, I
Right.
don't know. And
yeah.
I've definitely had that where, like, we talked about, like, hey, can I see what fly you're using? Like, can I? And I would just be like, oh, dude, yeah.
Right.
It's on my rig, dude.
Yeah.
You can look.
Yeah, and I've given guys flies out of my fly box. If I
But
can tell. Like I saw your fly box, you have nothing. Like
Oh,
here,
yeah,
man.
dude. No,
Yeah.
There's that
Right.
side of it.
Like
as
we just
well.
talked about.
Like, you're not
here's
gonna
some bugs.
You're not gonna. You don't
Yeah.
have a shot today. You
Yeah.
know, like here, just take a couple of these.
I mean, I'm usually pretty forthcoming.
Right.
Like if somebody asks, I'm not trying to like be malicious on the river. Like I'm the only one that can catch fish. Fuck you.
Right.
Yeah. You don't want to be that way.
Well, and you have to remember, man, that at some point, it was a long time ago, but at some point we had to learn how to do this too. You
Totally.
know? And there was mentors, and not just mentors we knew personally, but there was just random people we ran into that really helped you down the line. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Um,
like you could tell someone exactly what you're using, be like, "Oh, dude, I'm fishing a Prince nymph to this, or whatever," and they might not know how exactly you're throwing it, or
Right.
where to fish it, or what
Exactly.
depth, or how much weight, or whatever. And I've definitely had people. I'm sure at the fly shop, you definitely had people like, "I want to see the rig right now.
Dude,
like, I want to see that."
The amount of mental capital that we dished out in the fly shop was, because we would sit there and just be like, fuck it, dude. Here, this is how you rig this.
Yeah,
This
and
is-
that was the hardest part.
I
of
like that. How you mental capital. I like that
Yeah.
a lot. That's actually cool.
I mean, it's because that's what it is. Like, it's just shit that you learn in one way or another, and then they just come right to you, and they're like, how do you do it? And you're
Yeah.
like, here you go, dude. Here's
Yeah.
it all. Here's
Right.
the
Like-
fucking key to
Yeah.
the fish right now.
Well, a pheasant tail doesn't do you any good if you don't know how to nymph it. You know?
Exactly. dude.
I mean, I've seen people throwing pheasant tails as dries. I just can't see them.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Someone said
I mean,
pheasant tails are working. Like no one
like,
said
I don't know.
anything
I
else.
greased it up.
right.
Shit.
So this email comes from that podcast. But basically, it's kind of just comments. But we did talk about when boats were going by, and like I've had wade fishermen ask, as you're floating by, like, oh, what's working, man? What's, and you're roped up or
boat.
whatever. Yeah, like, a guide trip. Get a guide trip. But so he kind of just discusses this a little bit. But he goes, as a wade fisherman, if I know I'm about to hook up and there are guide boats around, I 100% of the time hook up on a fish. I'd love that idea. I'd like to do that every time too. He goes on to say, I don't
wanna
know,
fish with
I don't
this
know
guy.
why that happens, but it's the right situation. I'll time it just for the hell of it and try and hook up. I mean, obviously they're in a boat, they have an advantage. I try and do that too. If I'm walk waiting and a boat comes by, like I'm gonna hook up in front of this boat and like, show them what's up.
Hollywood,
dude, because I'm not moving for a boat.
No,
I'm
exactly.
walking. It's like you go around me.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, dude, they'll figure it out. If they're respectful boaters, they'll figure it out. But yeah, that's the whole thing. It's a big kind of middle finger, you know, like, dude, I'm walk waiting and catching fish, you know, like, peasant fishing, but.
It is a good feeling, especially when you see a boat on the horizon. You're roped up when they turn the corner, and then you're roped up 2 or 3 more times by the time they come by. It's a good feeling. Dude.
It's good to show off a little bit. You know, like I know what I'm doing, dude.
Right.
I know what's going on.
Right. I don't have a drift boat, but
so I get it. I get what Jeff's saying here. You know, like he loves to hook up in front of boats. So do I. I just like hooking up.
It's
man.
a feel good. It's a good feeling, man. You get a little river cred. You know, it feels good. But you know, also like we were talking. I never tell people. I think we talked about this. I never say like, "Oh, it's fire out there."
Oh no!
I was like, "Oh, it's pretty good."
Yeah, dude.
I never tell people it's fire ever. I'm just because instantly
especially,
that's
like,
gonna trigger.
I would say,
a
especially as a guide too, where like people are booking trips,
Different for
and
you.
you're like, no, but you're like, I'm not gonna be like, oh, dude, like can't wait for our trip tomorrow. It's absolutely insane out there, and then you have like a terrible day. Like, you're like, nah, dude, like fishing's been good, but it can be hit or miss at times, you know, or whatever.
Don't set yourself up for
That's
failure.
always the line, dude. Even if you know that it's gonna be fucking fire.
You want them to be surprised on the good end, not the bad end. You know?
Oh, definitely.
Like, wow, it was way better than you said it was gonna
like,
be.
Good. I'm glad. I thought it was gonna be terrible today. So, and then he goes on to talk about, you know, what he would do on the river. He's got percentages. 100% of the time, he hooks up in front of boats. 100%.
That's a
the
good
next one
number.
is
I want to bump into him on the river.
I know, right? The next
Hey,
one
man.
is 90% of the time, I use the play it back theory and help people out on the river. I think generally nice communication with other anglers is a good thing. People can get uptight out there. Not what fly fishing is about. The other 10% of the time, I'll practice small fibs. All right. I'm not a. Oh, well, maybe I'm reading it wrong. I'm not great at that, so I'll just practice on something dumb. If I have a dry dropper on, I'll show them the rig and say opposite fly. I'm getting most of the fish on.
Okay.
I got it.
Okay.
So like if he's
see.
throwing like a hopper dropper and he's got 2 bugs underneath his hopper, let's say he's got a Pats and a pheasant tail.
Right.
Like, oh, I'm catching them on the Pats.
I'm catching them on the chubby.
Yeah,
All of
they're
them.
eating the chubby. Just throw a chubby.
They won't eat anything else ever.
So I get that. I mean,
Thanks for the percentages. I guess I never thought about that.
I never think about that either. I'm just like, dude, when it comes, it happens. You know, sometimes it's just word vomit out of my mouth, and I'm like, and just tell them exactly what's going on.
Yeah,
I just started speaking Spanish.
You know, it's like those guys. Yeah, right.
¿Qué tal? ¿Cómo?
It's like the other day when I was telling you, I was like, you know, like we're not worried about these guys. You know, like
dude.
we'll tell them what we need to tell them.
Right.
We're not worried about that.
Right.
But there's definitely some guys that are like, I don't know if I should tell that guy everything.
Right. This guy looks like a shark, right?
Yeah, he might blow this up a little bit.
And he's about to walk right into or head somewhere I was gonna go. You know, like I don't think I'm just gonna give him too much.
So I get that. I mean, making small fibs here and there,
Yeah.
I definitely do.
Sure.
I think you got to
Sure.
just to keep the business
Right. And
too,
it all,
you know, like,
and like we talked about, it all depends on the personality that's coming up to you. You know, sometimes I'll give a guy everything because, I mean, the truth is it's not going to help him much. You know, but sometimes, man, he's a nice guy. He's just getting into the sport. He needs all the help he can get, or she. I'll give it up. I'll give him all of it, you know.
Well, dude, I mean, the other thing is, like, you could really fucking turn somebody around, you know? And
Yep.
like, that means a lot. You know, I remember, like, growing up when somebody was down to be like, hey, man, this is what you need to do.
Right.
And, like, even if it's just as simple as, like, you see somebody and they've got, like, 6 feet in between their dropper flies on an nymph rig, it's like, just shorten that up a little bit.
Just a
dude,
wee
you
bit.
know? It's like,
That'll help you out.
and you know, especially like I've definitely been on boats with people I don't know very well. You know, I haven't fished with them very much, and you're like, hey, what are you rigging up? You know, and they're like, oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and you're like, maybe you should try something a little, or like, you know, sometimes I'll let them go for a minute.
yeah,
And be like,
dude.
cool, fish it, dude. You want to fish? Yeah, go for it.
Who
dude.
knows? It might work.
Yeah, and then like if you see something that needs to be changed, you might step up and be
Right.
like, hey, man, maybe you should fix this.
Right. just make this quick change right
That's
here.
not quite what I would be doing. I
Right.
don't know. Like
But that's not what I would want. If I showed up on a boat on a paid guided trip, I want you to tell me what's up. That's why I'm here.
Oh yeah,
you
dude.
know.
If you're paying, you're gonna get the fucking business
Right.
all day long. Dude.
yeah, we're not going to screw around.
Right.
But like,
Hey, you see that rig you're tying? Put that away, and I'm going to give you this rod that I already.
yeah, dude, leave that in the.
That's
truck.
a good looking rod. That's a really nice Scott Radium, but we're going to fish this Reddington instead.
Yeah, it's already rigged. What were you saying, Dane?
I just think that like if anybody that I've ever gone like floating with, I don't know, dude, I'm way more forthcoming just because they're on the boat. I'm like, I'll like look at what they're rigging. I'm like, dude, I don't like.
Especially
maybe,
if they can't row, because you got to watch them fish all day.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, exactly.
You know, you're like,
Then there's that.
yeah, you're like, I got to watch you fish all day. I don't want to see you get skunked.
Right.
Let's throw something that's going to work.
Well, then it's beneficial to you because then you're like, okay, I figured out a little bit more today.
Right.
Gained a little bit more.
Right. And it's there's got to be some ego there too. Like maybe not ego, but some satisfactory feeling for you. Like I helped this guy today. Like
Definitely. And
he caught fish
there's
because
some
of me.
people I
That
think
feels good.
that'll take the advice, and then there's some people who are just like, nah, dude, I got to figure it out. You know, I'll do whatever I want to do.
Dude, you know those clients that you're like, fish closer.
Yeah.
Dude, fish closer to us. You don't need to do that.
Yeah.
Because that's where the fish are. And
That's
they're
when you just
like,
start pulling the boat like right up against the bank.
Right.
And, like you
I'm
have
gonna
to
ma-
fish.
yeah,
you
I'm gonna-
have to fish closer now.
and then he turns and starts casting
yeah,
out of the
you're
bank.
like, dude, what are you doing, dude? What are you doing? You don't
I've
need to
seen
cast.
that
Oh yeah,
before.
dude.
Some people just don't want to hear it, dude. They think they know because they floated the bighorn in Montana.
Yeah, right. You know, they're like, oh yeah, I had this guide this one time who taught me this, and you're like, cool, dude, do whatever you want to do.
Well, we've talked about the I've been everywhere guy. I
Yeah.
love those.
Yeah, dude.
And that, so it's definitely one of those things where it's like, all right, I got to pick my battles here. Who can I trust with this? You know, like I'm
Yeah.
not going to give everybody all the information.
Yeah,
I've floated with people, and I know other people have. I know you have. I have a lot of buddies who have that. People are just like trying to get information, like just using you.
Yeah, that's why they're there.
You know, they're just walking all over you, and you're like, oh yeah, dude, like you seem like a cool dude. I'll give you all the information, and then it's like gone.
Right.
You know, and you're like, oh, never talk to that dude again.
Never
now
to be
he's
seen.
guiding for this company.
Right.
And, you know, and it's like, oh, cool.
using that one trick I showed him.
Mhm.
It works about a tenth
Oh,
of the time.
he anchored up in that
Can't give him
one
everything.
spot, you know, but you gotta, you know, it's like,
Right.
oh, he's using that hole that I use and not many people do or whatever,
Right.
you know, or it's like one of those things that just, you gotta decide who you're gonna show.
Yeah, you gotta profile, man.
You do profile a little bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah, keep emailing us, guidedtrip@gmail.com. Let us know comments, questions, anything like that. We'll try and address them as much as possible.
And I love this topic. I would love for more people to chime in and give us their stories.
definitely.
you
Oh
know.
yeah, dude. I like
It's a
talking
fun
about
topic because we deal with it. It's one of those things we deal with every day.
Well, and you
know?
get like the assholes who be like, "What? Oh, what are they eating, man? Into my line."
Right.
You're like,
Okay.
yeah,
that. Good
here's-
one, dude.
Yeah,
I saw a
exactly.
river runs through it too.
Right.
Yeah, like, oh, cool, dude. Like, cool, bro.
Oh yeah, just like one
You know,
fisherman to
there's-
the next. Like,
yeah, there's lots of people like I've heard the silent treatment, dude. Where
just
like you're floating by and
nothing.
people will talk to you and like look the other way, like don't hear anything. And you're like, whoa, interesting.
Well, dude, there's like always that one guy. Like we don't need to say any names, but there's a guy that everybody knows, and he's fishing and he asks the boat as you're floating by, and it's like, dude, I don't want to talk to this guy or tell this guy. I don't want to affiliate with this guy.
Oh yeah.
Then your clients yell at him what you're fishing. It's like, God damn it.
Yeah, you're like, dude,
Hey.
that's my business.
right.
It's my bit. I usually tell my clients like, and it's just whether it be a landowner or a fisherman. Like,
Don't talk to the shore.
it's like no, just like yeah, pretty much like if it's a landowner or a fisherman, like look,
Yeah.
you don't want to get into it.
It's just
Like
bad for
don't
you.
say anything.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like they're not asking you.
Right.
They're asking me. You know, they're
Yeah.
trying to talk to me. I know that sounds messed up, but they're trying to talk to me.
Right. They see me every day.
Yeah, and it's like just
You're going back to Texas
don't
tomorrow.
say a word, you know, like don't say anything. If
Exactly.
anybody tries to talk to you, just if I tell you, then you know.
Right.
But yeah, it's one of those things. It's hard, man. Yeah, that's I like that topic too. I mean, it can go a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
So I kind of lost track there.
Here's where we got to work on our segues, you know.
Yeah, the segues need to be a little bit better. Like, shit, how do I do this?
Titty bars.
Oh, that'd be a great segue, dude. I wish I had something about titty bars.
Email us. Yeah.
Been to a titty bar recently? Let us know. So I was thinking about this the other day. I went on a guide trip. I think it's Memorial weekend, a couple weekends ago, and I had a client like just call me out on something that I say a lot, and I didn't realize that I say it a lot until I was called out on it. Because you know when you're guiding, you get a ton of questions, just all kinds of questions, whether it be about fishing, whether it be about anything. And I not even guiding, I say it all the time, but every time this guy was brand new to fly fishing, anytime he'd ask me a question about fishing, I go, well, it depends. Every time. Lots of different questions were going on through the day. When do we go from an indicator rig to a hopper dropper? Well, that depends. Everything. When's the water going to drop? Well, that's going to depend. And he finally, towards the end of the day, he called me out. He goes, all right, I think I got fly fishing figured out.
So let me get this clear. You don't
all
know
you
shit.
got to say, if anybody's asking you about fly fishing, it depends. And I'd never been called out on it. I started thinking about it. I was like, but it does depend. There's a lot of different factors, and it's hard to address people who don't have any knowledge of the sport or fishing where you're like, okay, let me tell you exactly. Let me go into a 30-minute rant real quick about how this is going.
Yeah, dude.
I just say it depends, man.
Right.
Like, all right, it depends. Well, what does it depend on? Well, it depends on
everything.
This. It depends on that. Yeah, it depends on lots of different things, dude. Like, that's so vague. Like,
I mean, we're talking
get it.
Cloud cover, CFS,
Right.
barometric pressure.
It all
Oh
depends.
yeah, dude, it depends. And he like sat there for a minute and just looked at me. He goes, "All right, I get it. It all just depends." And I'm like, "Yeah, you got fly fishing figured out, dude. You got it. It just depends." So I was thinking about. I was like, I know that we all say things that are just those things where it's always happening on the river. What you tell a client, or like anytime anybody does something, you just have the same thing for it. And I mean, I have sayings like that. It depends.
Yeah, dude.
And I always tell clients too, like, oh, well, is it going to rain tomorrow? What's the weather going to be like tomorrow? And just, this is my old man saying, but it was basically like, there's no bad weather, just bad clothing. Bring whatever you got, man. Bring a rain jacket, bring whatever you want.
I love that one.
We got
I do hear that one too.
Yeah, so I was thinking about, I was like, I don't know anybody else's sayings. Does anybody, like, do you guys say something?
I mean, like, we've heard about, Hank Patterson, like, when you're calling out fish.
There.
But yeah, like every guide has one. Some guides are pretty obnoxious.
Yeah, they're like, when something is eating their bug,
Right.
what do you say, Dan, when a client's eating your bug?
It goes in like full blown, like, I don't know.
You just freak out mode.
Yeah. I'm just like, oh,
there, hit it.
And I'm like, anytime you hear me just lose my shit a little bit, you should set that. Like, don't ask.
I usually go like, there, hit it. And you're
there's a good one.
I say there, hit it a
or
lot.
oh.
Yeah.
I don't think I don't use
Sometimes
the
it's just
hit
word
it
vomit.
Right.
I do say,
I always say there it is.
Yeah, I do say there it is.
that
There it
one,
is.
I see it. Yep.
Yeah, there it is.
Especially if you're like coming up, there's this hole, and you're like, okay, nice cast, mend it,
Yeah.
and then he eats. There it is.
There it
That's
is.
what you're
Yep.
gonna say.
Yeah.
Because you're expecting that to happen. You're like,
Yeah.
all right, they're gonna eat here,
Right.
and you're like, oh, there it is. Like, you're like, there, hit it, man.
Mhm.
There
Well,
it is. Dude, you did it perfectly. There it is.
Right.
Oh, you fucking blew it.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus.
Or like if it is the drift, they make the right cast. You're like, that's the one. That's the one right there.
Yeah, that's it.
Like,
That's perfect cast.
right.
I think another one that I say a lot too, like, they might not make the perfect cast, and you're like, that'll do. Like, that'll do, dude.
You
Like,
tell
just
me
leave-
that. You tell me
just
that
leave
a
it there.
lot.
Like, that'll work. That'll work.
Yeah, dude.
And they're like, well, that means that wasn't the perfect cast. You're like, no, that'll work, dude. Just leave it.
Yeah.
Usually
leave
when you
it.
say that, yeah, I say that a lot. Leave it.
Yeah,
leave it. There, leave it.
Yeah.
Leave
I say
it.
that one a lot.
Yeah, I say leave it.
I do the
too.
slow leave it because
Yeah.
I know they know they made a bad
Yeah.
cast, but bad casts catch fish on boats.
It's weird as a guy though, like you do come out with a lot of word vomit
right.
where you're just
Oh,
like
yeah.
trying to convey a point, but you don't know how to express it or how to articulate it yet. You're just like sometimes when somebody's casting, like right when they release that cast, it's still in the air. I'm like, perfect, leave it.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it's like they're like, what do you mean, dude? It's in the, like it's still in the air.
No, just leave it there. Don't not
Yeah,
pick that up.
yeah.
Dude.
Don't pick it up.
Don't beat up the water.
And it could be the worst cast ever. Just leave
Oh
it.
yeah, leave it.
We'll fix it on the drift.
Dude, I think like when somebody makes the right drift but the fish don't eat, I always usually say that was disrespectful.
Nice. I say like, oh, that deserves a fish. I say that one a lot.
Nice.
That deserved a fish.
And on those hard days, I find myself saying, huh.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say next. Just, huh? Things that make you say, huh?
I just can't believe that.
Yeah. Oh man, they should be eating that. You know, like everyone has their little sayings. They should be eating that, man. I'd eat it. I say that a lot.
Yeah,
I'd
dude,
eat it.
I'd eat it. For
Yeah,
sure.
I'd eat that.
Right.
That's where I'd be.
That's
Yeah.
where I'd be. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's where I'd be if I was a fish.
If
That's,
that's
where
where
I'd
I
be.
was fish.
I'd eat
Right
that.
there.
I'd eat that. Yeah, I say that a lot with
Yeah.
people.
I do use that one a lot. That's where I'd be.
Answer the phone. There's a trout on the line.
That's no.
No.
You don't use that one, dude?
Speaking of sayings, like
Not lately.
there's a lot of people who's you know the saying where it's like a bad day of fishing's better than a good day at work.
That one I hate.
At least we're fishing.
That one I hate.
Oh, I
man.
can't stand that one, dude. And all the like old timers say that, and you're like, dude, I'm working.
Right.
If it's a bad day of fishing, I'm working still.
Bad
That
day at
means
work,
it's a
dude.
bad day
This
at
is a
work
bad
for
day
me.
at work for me. You don't
Yeah, this
understand.
isn't. You don't get it. A bad day of fishing is better than a good day at work. No, it's not.
It's really not.
Not for me.
That's a bad day at work for
yeah,
me.
that's a bad day at work. I had a rough day at work. What'd you do? We didn't catch any fish.
It's just good to be out, dude.
That's our new one. It's just good to be out.
Oh, I use
it's just
that's
good
for
to
the
be out.
beginner fishermen, you know. Like, it's just good to be out today.
And
That's
then
how I
at the end of the
started.
trip, when they don't catch many fish, you're like, I thought it was just good to be out, dude. And they're like complaining about the fishing. I
Right.
thought you were just stoked to be out. I didn't think it was about the fishing.
Yeah, that sounds
Turns
like,
out, according to your tip, it's about the fishing.
that sounds like a return client.
Yeah, right. It's just good to be out, man. It's good to be out here. Not according to your tip, it's not.
As long as you don't say should have been here yesterday.
Yeah, that one. That
We've
one's a
talked
good
about
one
that.
too,
That's my
yeah.
least favorite thing ever.
Yeah, that one's like,
Oh, we were yesterday was fire.
should've
I
been
would
here
never
yesterday.
say that to somebody.
God,
dude.
no, it's the rudest thing you can say. It's the rudest thing you can say to someone. It's terrible.
Especially to a client.
Right. yeah.
I
Should've
say
been
it to
here
my
yesterday,
friends all
dude.
the time.
Right.
Should have
Yeah.
been here yesterday.
Oh,
dude. You
yeah.
fucking blew it.
Yeah, what were you doing?
Yeah. My personal favorite still. Huh.
Yeah.
And I usually have a followed by a bummer.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's how it works for me too. And like, you just see the look on your face, like, huh?
Bummer, man.
I wonder why they're not eating that. I would have ate that. You can string them all together, dude. You really can. Like, and then once you figure out what they're eating, you're just like, there, leave it. All right, sweet. There, hit it.
Well, and a shout out to my boy Paul over in Vail. Man, he would scare you with the call. Man, he yells boom.
Oh, you were telling me that. Boom.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna stay away from
I
the
got
mic.
scared just now.
Yeah, you're sitting there and you have like a long
Fell out of
like-
my chair.
Yeah, you have like a long 10-second drift, and then he's like boom. It's like, oh.
Right in your ear.
Like I missed the fish, man. I set like 12 seconds too soon. I was scared to death you're gonna yell boom in my ear.
He just leans in.
You just get all gun shy. You're like,
Yeah.
you're just flinching before it even happens.
Yeah, I got PTSD at the end of the day.
Yeah, you're like, Jesus, dude, that's rough. Yeah, I don't know. The guys that will yell in your ear and stuff, like, I mean, I don't know.
I'm not much of a yeller, dude. I don't yell about much.
I really don't either.
I mean, there's got to be something going seriously wrong for me to yell.
Yeah. Like, if I'm yelling, there's something bad happening.
Yeah, dude.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, we can't, obviously, if we think of more sayings, we can bring them up. But I thought that I say, well, some bitch a lot. Some bitch.
I like when the DWM shows up. I'm like, well, I did not know I couldn't do that.
There you go. Huh? I can't do that? Interesting.
Turns out you still lose points off your license.
I got a buddy who was nabbed. I'm not going to talk about it on here, but we'll talk about it after the podcast. Remind me, because it's pretty brutal. Yeah, it's not fun. But the sayings, they crack, and everyone has one,
right.
dude. And it's funny listening to all the other guides floating down the river, like
right.
what they say, like hit it, set, and you're like, oh man, this is crazy.
I personally don't like that at all from a guide.
Oh no,
for all the guides out there, everyone's got their style, but that's
I think it's different. Like I get excited when I'm anticipating something coming up, and like the client makes a good cast, and like you're like anticipating the whole thing. Like, all right, I also never tell people like, oh, there's big fish in this hole, because then they get nervous and they screw up and like butcher their cast. Or like,
we saw that. We've seen that in Andros.
Oh yeah, dude. Or it's like you just blow it and you're like, all right, well that hole's gone.
Yeah, and
let's try a new one.
Yeah, dude.
But I will get pretty fired up when I'm anticipating something, and the client is, or I'm like, there. Like I'm not yelling, but I'm like, there, hit it. I do that a lot. Hit it.
Also, if they are not good fishermen and they don't know that that's a fish eating,
right?
You gotta like work with them to like figure out a word that you can both.
Yeah,
that lights that fire.
Yeah, your safe word.
Yeah, we need a safe word on the boat today.
What's y'all's opinion? Like, I fished with a few guides where you float over some hole and they're like A++ water here, A+ water.
A++.
I usually don't like say that it's like the best. I'm like, oh man, you need to do this right
now.
I
usually I'm like, hey guys, there's a good bank coming up. Like, let's get ready for this bank.
Right.
Like, that's usually what I'm not gonna be like, oh dude, this is the best water on the river. Usually I say that after we pass. I'm like, that's really good water, and you guys didn't catch anything.
Sometimes there's a hole though that like you really got to row for, and you got to like make a plan. You're like, when I tell you to cast, you need to cast. Don't be casting into that shit before I say anything.
No. But like, and what I've learned is like, if you're rowing, like you slow the boat down and you start talking to him. Like, all right, here's what's coming up. You're gonna see a log in the water right here about 12 o'clock. Blah blah. Right when we come past that log, put your cast in on this little shelf right there. It just needs to be in there.
Right.
As long as you can get it in there, I'll get the boat as close. Like, you just walk them through the whole thing.
Right.
And then they know exactly what to look for.
And then you're going to see your chubby go underwater.
Yeah, exactly.
And what I need you to do.
Well, I started like describing, like in the very first part of the float, trying to pick out all the features that we're going to fish.
Right.
And try to tell them like, this is a shelf.
Yeah.
This is a cut bank.
That's
this
actually,
dude.
Yeah, you got to do
Matt
that.
Miller had a good idea the other day when we were floating. He's like, I need to have pictures. I was like, oh, like flashcards, dude? Like, you need flashcards for your... He's like, yeah, that way I can be like, this is a shelf.
Matt Miller would do that, by the way.
Yeah, right?
Shout out to Matt Miller.
This is a pocket, This is the top of a run.
Right.
This is a seam. All these little things like cast here.
Right.
And I was like, dude, that is kind of a brilliant idea.
Dude, because I got tired of being like, you cast into that shelf.
And they're like, what's a shelf?
Right.
Yeah. What's a seam? How do I cast the top of the seam?
And a lot of clients are timid, so they're just gonna cast kind of where you told them. Like,
exactly.
I don't know what a shelf is, but that.
Like cast it 2 o'clock right now.
Right.
And it's hard, man. It's hard to articulate that sometimes.
Well, you know how hard that clocks are when there's big fish cruising
dude.
too.
Sometimes I'll slow down the boat and just anchor up. Like, all right, we need to work on some communication.
Right.
Like, here's what needs to happen. Like, when I say this, you need to put it here.
Right. That's what
when
I mean
say
when I
seam,
say
this is what a seam looks like.
Right.
And that's the hard part, is being able to describe what all those things are and have them fish to it.
Right.
Well, and you also you can't be like too overbearing, because people are just trying to fuck around and go float.
It's their vacation.
They do something way more serious than this on a daily basis.
Right.
And
that's a good point.
Now you're floating a river. So if you can just kind of, be cool about it and be like, yo, this is what this is. And they're like,
and you can tell by the person too. You can tell if they really care or if they're just there to catch some fish. You're like, all right, I'm not going to describe too much to you. Like, I'm just going to tell you where to put it. and when to mend and when to set the hook.
Dude, you know what's crazy? I was thinking about this, not to go back, but like when you're talking about people asking about bugs, it's never your clients. They're never like, oh, what is this bug we're throwing?
Yeah.
They're like, fuck it, dude. You tied it on.
Cool.
Let's go.
Throw it.
Right.
Yeah.
They wouldn't even know if you didn't say it.
Right.
Yeah, that's interesting, dude. That's really interesting.
They just assume you're pointing them in the right direction.
Yeah, and little do they know. Like, shit, I don't know what's working.
Or just screw them up.
Or like
show them a Pat's rubber legs. This is a really big pheasant tail.
Yeah, dude. I have a buddy who used to do that. Like, he'd just talk about like the wildlife and like birds and stuff. Like, oh, you've never seen this cockatoo, tweety, yellow songbird? And just say random things. You've never seen this great blue eagle warbler?
That's because he was a raft guide before he was a fishing guide.
That's exactly who. It's funny stuff, man. Yeah, he'd just say these random things, and you're like, yep, I get it. Yeah, screwing with people.
God.
But, yeah, the sayings, man. We went on a little tangent there. That was good. Uh-oh.
Jeez.
Ryan's dropping stuff. Oh, geez.
Speaking of that, dude, does anybody else need another beer?
I do.
Why don't you guys stay on and I'll get you some beers?
All right.
Nice.
That sounds sweet.
That works.
I don't have anything to
Cool.
contribute this
We'll be here.
conversation anyways.
So this is another topic. I know you have it because we experienced this the other day walking into our local sporting goods store.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Fly box obsession, dude.
Oh, dude.
It's bad.
I got a new fly box like every month.
Oh, yeah. And so I started thinking about it. I was like, okay, why do I think I have this? Like, why do I do this? I think in my head, it's like psychological. Like, okay, if I buy a new fly box, I'm going to fill it. I'm going to tie.
100%.
I'm going to tie new bugs and fill it. And I never do.
Yeah, dude.
And so I have all these half-empty fly boxes laying around where I'm like, what am I doing?
I will say that my latest fly box purchase, I can definitely foresee going to work, dude. I got a new dry fly box.
Is that the Umco boxes?
Yeah.
I
And
went back
like,
and
dude,
bought a couple of those.
It's
dude.
like a shitty freaking Cabela's.
Oh,
like,
yeah. They're
lure
just little
box.
flip-top boxes.
But, dude, dry flies come out of that foam, dude, especially
Yeah.
when you're on the boat and they're like in the sun.
And you know what's hard? Putting them back in there.
Yeah, dude. And you're not going
Like
to do
those-
that on the river.
Like, I love the tacky boxes, but trying to get, like, their dry fly box, trying to
Dude.
get a dry fly back in that tacky box is the hardest thing on the
I'm
planet.
not going to do it while I'm rowing.
No.
I promise you that.
No,
But-
if I can just throw it in one of these.
Yep. And I'll know what slot it is.
Yeah.
I'm looking right at it. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just like Ryan's always making fun of me for all the fly boxes that are just sitting on my table, like just half full. And it's like, dude, I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, yeah, there's probably a couple $100 worth of fly boxes
Dude,
for no reason.
For sure.
Yeah. And you don't fill them all.
No, dude. Very rarely.
I got very close to filling my MFC boat box one time.
Oh,
I remember seeing that box
Yeah.
and I was like, dang,
I
dude.
did fill my blue wing box though. That thing's full.
Is that an MSC one?
It's
Is that black one? Oh, the Umco boat box?
Pop, and it's not even a boat box.
Oh,
it,
I know what you're
pops.
talking about.
It's
Yeah.
blue.
Yeah.
And they make like orange and green.
Yeah, I have a couple of those.
right.
They're not full.
Yeah. That's like the only one that's really.
I have one
full.
with like 6 flies in it. I'm like, I'll figure out what to do with this later.
Right.
Did you always have like an idea? You're like, this one will be all the flies that are working right now.
Yeah,
box.
this is my guide
Fuck
box.
no.
This is my dry fly box. This is my terrestrial box. This
Dude,
is, and it like never works
My
out that
boat
way.
box got fucking out of hand last year. There was fucking floating in it. There
Oh,
was
gosh.
cups of flies. There was a chubby like the hair pick in there, dude. It was a mess.
And it's just one of those things. It's like I don't know, man.
It sucks working on it, man.
Dude, the worst part is like, all right, I gotta get my shit together. I gotta get my life together this morning and like organize my fly boxes. And you do like right before your clients show up, you're like, cool, I got time. I'm already rigged. I'm gonna organize some stuff. Guide trip, boom, blown out of the water.
It's destroyed.
Yeah, you're like, what happened?
That's why I just got a bigger bag, dude. Just, fuck it. I'm gonna throw it all in there.
Just throw everything in the bottom of the bag. Yeah, it's like my waiters, dude. It's just a junk drawer.
You've pulled some pretty interesting things out of
I know.
waiters.
We
and
keep
how
beating this horse to death, but it's like, dude, it happens.
I watched you pull like a 9-foot rig out of here.
I was just shoving pike flies.
I think
in there
they're-
the other day.
Yeah, dude.
I was just throwing them in my pocket.
Yeah,
I'm
you better
like,
be those pike flies won't give it back, man.
yeah, whatever, dude. You learn some.
That could be permanent.
You also win some, you lose some. It's
Right.
like, yeah, that happens.
I have this broken box. It's so broken. I keep taping it, but I'm too lazy to switch my flies out to a new box.
You want
I
to buy a
just
new
can't do
box,
it.
dude? I got
Nope.
a couple.
Nope.
I got a couple that are empty-ish.
I don't. I just had knee surgery. I was sitting on my couch for 2 weeks and I still couldn't go through that box and change the flies out. It's
Bummer, dude.
Can't
Bummer
be done,
for
dude.
you.
Huh?
I'm gonna put this puppy on ice. There you go.
Oh,
All the
yeah,
ice
actually,
out.
I
Yeah.
got a whiskey coke anyways.
I got all the ice out. So yeah, dude, the fly box is just, it's an obsession.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that happens with fly fishing though. I think that happens almost with anything like you get into really hard. Like you just start obsessing to a point where like, I
Right.
don't really need that, but
No,
I
dude.
want it.
But then you change like the way you're obsessing. You're like, is this one waterproof? Like
Yeah.
what kind of clasp
Right.
does
Yeah.
this one have?
Yeah.
Is this the foam
And then you're like,
this?
I don't really care if it's waterproof anymore.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you start out like, oh, I need all waterproof boxes, and you're like, all right, I got a waterproof bag.
Yeah.
You know, like
Right.
I don't need
Exactly.
waterproof boxes anymore.
Now you got all these waterproof boxes. and a
Yeah, you're like, you got
waterproof
$40 waterproof boxes, and then you're buying $6, little Umpqua flip top boxes. And you're
Right.
like, cool, it's not waterproof. Hopefully these latches stay. Hopefully I don't open my bag and all my flies are everywhere.
bag. Yeah,
I don't know, dude. It's just, and I have a ton of like those Cabela's boxes that I just throw
right.
random stuff in.
Yeah.
Okay, this brings me to another point I just thought about, but I have these like Plano boxes or Cabela's boxes or whatever. They're just full of like trash flies. that
Right.
are
Oh, yeah.
burnt out, like hoppers that don't float anymore or whatever.
Right.
And it's like, I was thinking about it, I was like, man, I should start saving these instead of, I used to just like toss them. It's like, maybe I should save all those hooks and
Yeah.
cut off all the materials.
Yeah, but that's so much work.
It's a lot of money to save though
I know.
on hooks, I guess. I don't know.
Well,
Does
you
the
guys
work
already-
and the money add up?
You guys are already telling me how you can't keep your fly box in order day to day. You think you're gonna go through the work to clean your flies out so you have fresh
Nah,
hooks?
Dude, I did see a cool thing. Is like, do you have like a little cutoff bin like on the boat that you like just throw all that shit into?
Yeah.
Of course.
Like,
Yeah.
and then transfer it to those
Yeah.
boxes. Well, I saw this art piece. This dude was a guide like up in Montana or something. He took all of his cutoff rigs from the year, like laid them on a canvas and epoxied over it.
Oh, dang.
It looked super
That's
cool.
awesome. That's
That
a
actually-
sweet idea.
that
really
actually
cool.
is pretty cool.
Or you take out like those just globs of messes. Or like,
Yeah,
oh,
that's
geez,
exactly what it
like-
was, dude. There was like beads hanging
Oh
out of
yeah,
it. It
dude.
was-
I
it
got a
was
ton
sick,
of those.
dude.
That's my flip flop, dude.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah,
flip-flop.
your flip flop
Uh,
is sick.
Oh yeah, it's got crap all over
Your
it.
flip flop's
It's just-
hilarious, man.
Yeah, it's bad.
It
It's like
can
this
hurt,
might
too.
hook on anything. Yeah, no, I can't wear it. This might if I throw it in my truck with like jackets or anything, I'm like, who knows if I'll be able to get this thing out without hooking on stuff.
Right,
'Cause
no.
There's just rigs hanging off of it, full fly like leaders wrapped around it, and I mean, it's bad. Yeah.
Well, and then and I have probably 15 miles of old tippet. Then I was like, I'll reuse this.
Oh yeah,
I'll reuse this. I don't want to waste it.
I know, dude. It's hard, and it's like, I don't know if there's a good way to do that. I was thinking, okay, so go back to the hook thing, like cutting all the material off the hooks and saving the hooks. It's like, okay, where has this hook been? That's what I started thinking about. I was like, was this hooked on a tree at one time? We pulled it off luckily. Is this hook
Right.
weakened? Where
Yeah.
has this hook been?
Right.
I don't know. And it's like, is it weak? Is it rusted? Is it this? And I started going through. I was like, man, there's a lot of, it depends.
Yeah.
It does depend, dude.
It depends,
It
dude.
just
Well, then
depends.
the thing is, like, dude, when you sit down to tie, like, especially for guiding, you're gonna tie like a dozen. or
Oh,
more.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
like, if you've only got like one, you're like, this is perfect
Yeah.
with this bead and this hook size, and you're like, fuck, now I don't have any more of those.
Yeah.
Then it's like, well,
I don't know.
shit.
Right.
It's tough. Yeah. I started thinking about it. I was like, man, there's a lot of factors here. What do you do?
Yeah.
And with
dude.
the tippet, so that's what I was thinking of. There's not a good way to save tippet.
No. It just turns
Like you
into
cut a
mess.
rig off
Right.
and you'd be like, okay, was that 4X? Was that
Right.
5X? Was it fluoro? Shit.
Yeah.
What was that?
Exactly right.
You
And
know, like
and when you
there's
took it
not-
off,
there's not like a
Right.
test to go through and be
Right.
like, all right, I know exactly which one this
well,
is.
and when you took it off, you knew what it was. Like, okay, I'll remember this.
well, and
know
I
what
already
this is.
got like all these rigs, on my flip flop. How do I know what is what?
Just get a tippet gauge.
What's tippet gauge?
You never seen one of those?
No.
You can you slide it in this little gauge and it's like
Oh, a gauge.
yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you said a cage.
I thought you said cage too, but I know what you're talking
tippet
about.
Tippet
gauge.
gauge.
I have a
tippet
tippet
gauge. You just cage up all your tippet because
Yeah,
it's
dude.
getting crazy out there.
Wild.
Wild, man. Wild. I have one.
Okay,
I
tippet
never use
gauge.
Yeah, I've never bought one.
it. Right. I have one.
That's
You
like-
could.
That's just things like, okay, now I got more stuff.
Right. Well, my tippet gauge is also a bottle opener, so it's only been a bottle
That's good.
opener.
Yeah.
Well, I think
never-
they're also like $30. So
Jesus.
yeah, dude, it's crazy.
Oh, mine's cheap.
Nice. I need to find wherever you got yours.
I don't even know where I got mine. It's a good bottle opener.
So like you can save all this stuff, but it's really hard to figure out what it all is.
I just
think
did
it. Yeah, the best move is just to dispose of your tippet responsibly and not just fucking dump it in the river.
Right.
None
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah, that's another thing. Is there like a tippet repatriation place where you could send your tippet back to be reused?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure people make stuff out of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. That'd be interesting to look into, especially
Huh.
as a guide when you guys go through so much of it.
Have you seen those like little twisty tubes? It's like got a comb on the inside, and you put your tippet inside and twist it,
Yeah,
and it twists up all your
I
tippet.
kind of
I've
need one
seen
of
that,
those.
yeah.
I have one of those. I just haven't ever put it on my bag.
I kind of need one of those.
I usually just shove it in that little biopod, that fish pond biopod.
Right, but every time I shove it in, it comes right back out because
Yeah.
my finger pulls it right back
Oh yeah,
out.
you're like, well, I think it's not meant for
No,
tippet.
it's not.
I think it's meant for like cigarette butts.
Well, I always put my
And-
cigarette butts in yours.
Yeah. I wonder if it smells like shit.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't think there's a good way to do it.
No, I haven't tried that tippet spinner thing. I should get one.
That way, at least it's all in one place.
Right,
I've never
exactly.
used it though. It's just sitting on my
Right.
table, I think.
I know. Well, I mean, you shove it in your pocket, and then when you pull your hand out, that comes out of your pocket. It's just really hard to manage, man. It's
Yeah.
kind of got a life of its own. So
For sure.
it just doesn't. It's not going to do what you tell it to do.
Yeah,
you
I
know?
don't know. That's tough, man.
Yeah, it's tough. So here we
are.
Now we're just talking about how we just pollute plastic
Yeah,
everywhere we
like-
go.
Yeah, what are we doing? So we need segues, dude. We're terrible
I
at
know.
this.
Speaking
We-
of tippet,
Speaking of tippet,
Let's
we
talk
were
about-
throwing some heavy tippet
let's
the other
talk
day.
about pike fishing.
We're throwing real heavy tippet
Let's
the
talk
other
about
day.
bite wire.
Yeah, bite wire tippet. We definitely learned our lesson on some bite wire tippet pretty fast.
Yeah.
We didn't expect it, but so with high water, obviously there's some other options. And there's lake fishing, there's ponds, there's bass fishing, pike, walleye, perch, whatever, depending on where you're at. There's definitely areas you can go, and you might have to travel some. Dane has had a pretty insane week and a half
Dude.
or week
Yeah. about
so
a week
far.
now.
Multi-species traveling kind of to find them.
It's been cool, dude. Some
Um,
bass, crappie, perch, bluegill.
That's-
Yeah.
And then, so you went and traveled to, we don't have to say where, but you traveled to
Yeah, down
a
southern
pond.
Colorado.
a pond, pretty much, or a lake
Yeah.
to go fish for some bass.
Yeah. And it's sweet, dude. I mean, just getting into other species after you're so used to like guiding and fishing and trying to figure something else out. That new challenge is like I don't know, it humbles you a little bit.
A little
but it
bit.
also is like refreshes you.
Right,
You're
like
oh,
kind of
dude,
reinvigorating.
You're like, oh, dude, now I got to figure this out. This is a whole new problem.
Right.
Which is sweet, dude. I mean, I'm into it. The problem solving is sweet.
And there's different bugs, and I mean, different,
Yeah.
you don't know where these fish hide or whatever.
Yeah, especially like I'm not like very like in tune to warm water fishing at all. I mean, I can cast well enough, I guess, but
So how many species have you caught this week?
6.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty cool,
It's
actually.
pretty cool. Yeah.
That's pretty good.
yeah.
So we started doing, we've done some pike fishing in the past.
I've done some pike casting.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
mainly pike casting.
Yeah.
But we don't know much about it, and we do have a reservoir in the Gunnison area that holds pike.
Right.
And it's kind of one of those springtime things, or like when runoff hits, it's all right, let's go chase pike. And Ryan and I have been in the past, and we haven't worked terribly hard. I mean, we've casted a lot.
Yeah, we've done a lot of blind casting.
We haven't done much thinking about it.
Right.
So, I mean, going into it, like we knew a couple things. Like, all right, springtime, the pike are on the bite. You know, they're eating, they're out there. Let's go up and try and cast for some pike. And all we really knew is like, all right, they sit on shallow areas and either sun or feed. You know, in that little warmer areas of the lake.
Right.
And we didn't have a whole lot of info going into it, and we did a lot of casting. In the last 3 years, we've only caught one pike.
Well, I started to think they didn't exist.
They do exist.
I know.
They do exist.
I'm like half
and we'll get into that.
And half pissed at you guys.
But you know, so we'd go up there and we just cast a lot, dude, into the wind, and we were like, man, this sucks. And we talked to different people, and we heard a lot of different things. And Dane and I and one of our buddies decided we were gonna go up. We're like, all right, cool. Like, let's go up in the evening and go. Why not? Let's go try and pike fish. Break out the 2x4s and go huck some line.
Right.
Go huck some big bugs. And that first night, I mean, we just kind of fished a little flat, and I think there were 7 fish landed.
Yeah.
I caught one. I mean, they're all little hammer handles.
Right.
And maybe we just timed it right, and we were out there at the right time in the right area.
Yeah.
And caught a couple pike, and we were all talking about it. This what kind of preempted this little section here is talking about the pike. Is after that we were all talking about it, how we can get better. How, you know, what do these pike do? What are their, you know, their
yeah, dude, it opens
their habits.
up a whole
their
new
habits.
labyrinth that you have to try to figure out.
And I mean, you're fly fishing for them. It's like,
labyrinth is right, man.
You don't know what you're doing.
Right.
I mean, I'm throwing saltwater line on fresh.
Oh yeah, me too. I got saltwater line on you know, on my 9-weight.
That's all I got.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and we landed 7 pike. That was the best I've ever done.
Well,
we also had 3 people in there,
but that still sounded incredible to me. 3 pike.
That was my first pike on the fly.
Yeah, first pike on the fly.
After 5 years of trying.
Cheers to that, dude. Let's cheers to that. Jeez.
I'm on 4 years, man. I've caught them in Alaska, but I've never caught them.
That's what Dan is saying. I mean, he's done some spin fishing for him.
Yeah, in Canada when I was a little kid. You know,
you trash them up there, right?
Roasted them.
I know.
It's crazy.
The Taylor, there we go.
No, you can say it. Yeah. I mean, everybody knows.
It's a whole nother ball game out here. Like, it's just not
Taylor Reservoir.
Yeah, it's not your classic.
Good luck.
Yeah,
knock yourselves out.
Yeah, there's plenty of people trying.
Right, exactly.
But we walked out with a little confidence. We were like, all right, cool. You know, we caught 7 pike. Like I said, they're all little hammer handles, but it's like we caught them.
Yeah, dude.
Which is best we've done.
Right. When I was like, you guys, you called me. You're like, yeah, we went and fished Taylor and caught a couple or what, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, you guys strike out, and you're like, actually we caught 7. I was like, no.
Yeah. And like, yeah, we caught some fish, dude. And nothing was huge, and like, but Taylor is notorious for having some big pike.
So I hear.
Seen pictures of them. We've, you know, so in the back of our head we're like, oh man, like there's gotta be some big pike in here. Where can we find these big pike, you know? And we keep talking about it and trying to think about where they're gonna be. And this whole time we're fishing mono. You know, we're fishing 20-pound mono.
Yeah.
And we're like, dude, I even brought it up. I was like, you guys got bite wire? They're like, nah, we're just going to fish mono. I was like, cool, I don't have bite wire here. Let's just fish mono.
You guys are fishing mono?
Oh, yeah, dude. We had we were like, dude, there's no way. Like,
we're talked about
We're not going to hook into one that's going to, you know, there's no way.
You need, if you're going to throw mono, you need 80-pound test.
20-pound?
Nope.
I don't
know, dude. We landed the fish that we caught on mono.
Yeah, dude. But I'm always going to throw bite wire from here on out. We learned our lesson pretty quickly, but
my fault.
So Dane and I, we were like, I got called off from work that night. I was like, cool, I don't have to work tomorrow. Let's go back up and let's go early. You know, let's go see if we can hit it when it's calm and see some pike moving. And maybe see where these flats are, see the weed beds, like see everything we're looking for, and then we can assess the situation. We got up there about 8:30ish, 9 o'clock maybe.
Yeah.
And we're just kind of rigging up, getting our waders on, and getting our rods ready and everything. And these two dudes start rolling down the road, and they're like, "Oh shit!" There's people coming, and this one dude comes up, like pulls around us, comes behind us, and like kind of parks next to us. And the dude behind him pulled down into this little area where like we couldn't see his car. He thought he was being sneaky. And we're still getting ready. Like, we're almost there, dude. Like, we're ready to roll out like 5 minutes if we weren't. This dude who pulled up next to us wanted to shoot the shit a little bit, and this dude who pulled up down low just started racing out to the lake, dude. He had a rod rack, or
right. He was ready.
He was ready, dude. That's what I told Dane. I was like, "Damn it, Dane! He's got a rod rack. He's ready to roll."
He was already in his.
He's got
waders.
rod tubes. He had rod vault. He's got the rod vault. He can just pull it out and roll. And this dude pretty much like raced out to this spot. Like, knew we were getting ready, like watching us rig, like raced out
and
there.
Just jumped your spot.
And we're talking to this guy, and we're like, "Man, screw that dude. Like, what the?" I was pretty fired up for a minute.
Right.
I talked about it pretty much the whole way out.
Yeah.
I was like, "God damn it. This guy is such a..." And so here's what we talked about, though. We talked about the guy who came up and talked to us. This guy came up, and he's there for a week or something like that. He's like, "Hey, like, have you guys been catching many fish? I want to really go down to this inlet and start fishing, and I know there's fish in there." And so we started talking with him and shooting the shit. We're like, "Dude, actually, like, we're not fishing for trout. We're fishing for pike today." And he's like, "Well, what if you were fishing for trout? What would you be doing?" And we kind of, gave him some ideas of how to fish it. Super nice guy, and he was kind of like, "Oh, I can't believe that guy just jumped in on you guys and stole your spot." And I was pretty fired up.
Right.
And we rolled out, and like I said, I was talking about it the whole time. I was like, "Man, screw that guy!" Like,
Did you guys ever consider that you got like velociraptored? That dude went and ran interception.
Oh yeah.
The dude snaked you down
Oh
below.
dang, I didn't think about that, dude.
Dude, I think shouts out to John. That was
Yeah,
think
yeah.
John's a
If John
good
did
dude.
that,
I think-
screw John too if he did that.
You guys are talking about this. I'm like, damn, you guys got bushwhacked,
Yeah,
man.
dude. He's like, right before they rolled in, he's like, "All right, you need to go distract these guys. I'm gonna roll in and go
Dude.
steal their spot."
You straight got velociraptored,
Shit, dude.
man.
I never thought about that, dude.
Clever girl.
Yeah, dude.
Clever girl.
Little misdirection. You're watching this hand while this hand is fisting you. That's pretty much what happened, dude. And so we're like, "All right, let's go plan B. We're gonna go to this other spot. We'll go plan B." And we go check it out. And I'm still bitching about this dude across the lake. I'm like, "Screw that guy, man. He ruined everything for us." And for some reason, dude, I was trashing him.
Yeah, dude, you
Like,
were getting into
The
him.
first pike I've ever seen actually eat a fly.
Right.
It was the coolest thing on the
You
planet.
saw
like,
the take.
Dude, it was so calm, like right in the morning, and like so like we learned this too. I was talking about a little bit, like the strip, pause. Like strip, pause
Right.
for like a good 2 seconds maybe,
Yeah.
and then strip,
Right.
pause. And everything I'd read, everything I heard, they eat it on the pause.
Right. That's
And
what I
basically,
heard.
right when you strip, it goes tight and you have it. And about, 8 feet from my rod tip, 10 feet from my rod tip, I pause and I watch this pike.
Hammer it.
He didn't even hit it yet.
Oh.
He like flashed on it and just stopped and watched it. And right when I went to strip again, smoked it.
Huh.
Like right when it moved again, he hammered it. And Dane heard me. I go, oh, because I watched this fish turn, and I just paused it.
Right.
And then went and barely stripped, and he just smoked it, just T-boned it, dude. And it was cool to see. I'd never seen that
Right.
ever.
The take is.
Oh, dude, I was blown
they
away.
hammer it, man.
Oh, yeah. And we kind of fished all around this little cove, and like I said, for some reason, I just couldn't keep him off.
Right.
Like, I was just raking him
Were you
in.
throwing different flies?
Just slide.
Kind
Were you
of,
throwing
slightly.
that one? That white one?
No, I wasn't
okay.
on these yet. I was throwing a little tiny. It was maybe 3 inches long, like a
Right.
red and white one. And it just moved real well in the water. And again, we're fishing mono,
Right.
not thinking anything about it. And Dane and I were literally like, "All right, dude, like, let's call it, man. Like, let's go check out another area. Let's get out of here. And we literally like probably walked 30, 40 yards.
Yeah.
And it was like blowing wind, raining on us.
How were you feeling, Dane?
Dude, I was like, man, I've done a lot of casting. I hooked one like 10
Yeah, right off the
casts.
bat.
Okay.
He hooked one right off the bat, and he's like, "What the hell?" And I'm just raking him in for some reason.
And I was like, dude, I must be doing something fundamentally different than him.
But were you? Not really, right?
I mean, not like appreciably different.
We'll
dude.
get there, yeah.
It's like
It was pretty wild.
It's not much different
Okay.
what I was doing, but there is one little difference. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So we walk out and like 40 yards, and we're like, all of a sudden this ray of sunshine comes out and kind of shows us this area where we're fishing. And we're like, oh shit, like look at this other flat that's there. And we had walked a ways, you know, like we're like, oh, we can see it now.
Right.
Because the sun came out,
Right.
we could see it. We're like, screw it, dude, we're here. You know, we might
Gotta
as
go
well.
for it,
Like
yeah.
we might as well go for it. And wind just starts howling again, like storms coming in, and all of a sudden, like all the mud starts getting churned up in the water. And I was telling Dane, I was like, dude, like everything I've heard, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. I was like, everything I've heard, dude, when it's muddy and windy, those big pikes start coming out.
Yeah,
like
dude.
they start feeding because
Yeah, they can ambush anything. at that
exactly
point,
in the
right?
mud they can ambush anything. And so we probably fished for another 30 minutes before anybody hooked anything.
Yeah.
And I'm over it. I'm like,
Right.
oh man, my arm's tired.
Yeah, you've roped quite a few fish.
And I just start casting blindly, you know, just whatever, man. Like, and I put a cast in, and dude, like, same thing. All of a sudden, it just like went tight,
Bing.
and I lifted up the rod, and dude, line just started going across like the cove, and I was like, oh, Dane, I think I hooked a whopper, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Dude, I was like, oh man, like the whole time in my head, I never even thought like, oh, I got mono on.
Right.
You know, like I'm not even thinking that. And dude, like get him in, and like we're both freaking out. We're like, dude, we've never seen a pike this big. And like it was a pretty big pike. I mean,
Yeah.
like
Yeah, dude.
I don't know, like anywhere between 34 and 36 inches.
Well,
I
I
don't
was
know.
like I said, for coming from me, I thought they didn't exist, and now you're holding on to a 36-inch fish. So
Yeah.
Well, like we didn't know what to do. We're
Right.
like, dude, we don't have like a net. I was like, my first thought was like, all right, let's drag him towards the bank.
well,
where
net's
is it-
not going to do you any good.
Well,
anyways,
if we
right?
get like the head in there, maybe where we can kind
Catcher's
of.
mitt, dude. Hold
Yeah,
it.
dude, just hold it in there. Just
I don't
get
want to
in
hold
there.
on to that fish.
And we weren't sure what to do, so it was like, all right, like we got him to leader pretty much, and it was like, all right, well, let's drag him to the bank, you know, and get into shallower water where we can pick him up and
Right.
you know handle it a little better. And it was just a shit show, dude. And like he comes just like right up to Dane, just on the side, and like Dane grabs him, and it makes one move, dude, and like you couldn't even see the fly.
Right.
He inhaled this fly, and it makes one move, thrashes, and just gone.
Yeah.
And I'm just smiling. I'm like, what's going on, dude? Like, what happened, man? And like, Dane's just bumming, dude. He's like, I blew it, dude. I blew it. Like, and I looked at Dane, I was like, bite wire, dude. We need bite wire. What are we doing out here without bite wire?
Well, like I said, you don't have to have bite wire, but you need like 80-pound test if you're not.
And I just didn't think that was possible. I was
Right.
like, dude, we're never going to hook a big one.
Right.
Like, it's not going to
Yeah,
happen.
dude.
yeah, like I said, I didn't even. I'm pretty sure they don't exist.
It
I
was,
still
just,
don't
it
believe
was
you.
a fantasy.
It was that whole situation with the sun showing us the flat, then him going back out there and like pretty. I mean, it
Within
took a little
30
bit.
minutes.
He just like hammers that fish. and it's
Right.
like, fuck.
And lost a fly that was working all day. And so all of a sudden confidence went through the roof and then down into the mud again. It was
Right.
like, oh great, we lost the one fly that was working and it's the only one we had.
Yeah.
And so like I was like, dude, I don't know, man. Like, and I was still just like
Right.
shocked.
You're just
I was
vibing,
Like, I was
man.
like, whoa, that was crazy, dude. Like,
Yeah.
there's no way I'm gonna hook another pike, you know, like no way. So I grabbed that fly you gave me, and it was just howling wind, dude.
Right.
And I'm like, dude, I can't even cast
Right.
this thing. And so like, I'm just basically using the wind and just like getting a back cast and just letting it ride the wind and
Right.
just send it out there because it was so heavy
can't
and my
even
arm was
backcast
so
it,
tired.
right.
And like I caught two little ones like right off the bat. Same thing, like just
Strip,
strips,
pause.
pause, and they ate it like 5 feet from my rod tip.
I mean, are you pulling these guys off a shelf there?
I think
Or do
we were
they
on
stand
like
on
some
the
small
flat?
weed beds
Okay.
and the mud line.
Yeah.
So this mud was just churned up. Like you couldn't see your fly at all.
Right.
The mud was churned up so
Right.
big. I think that was a huge factor in this.
Huge
is that
factor.
The mud was churned up so much that these fish were coming in.
But you guys caught fish before the mud was churned up, right?
A couple.
Okay.
Yeah. and
Couple.
but the day prior, I had caught 3 doing what I was doing.
Right.
Slow strip.
Which was a slow strip pause. So it was still a strip pause, but mine was
real.
slower than his.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so I like Dane's looking at me. He's like, dude, what the hell? Like you just threw on a new fly that we haven't even tried before and you're catching fish.
Right.
And it was basically like, dude, it was the same thing. Like line would just like all of a sudden like start veering off, and you're like,
Right.
that looks weird.
Huh.
And you'd strip
Yeah.
one more, and then they're like these little guys, dude,
Right.
were there.
But still.
And so I was like, all right, like I'm gonna see if I can cast like kind of this point in the mud line and see if I can, just get one out there. And like it was weird, dude. Like you just saw it happening, but you didn't know what was happening.
Right.
Like you do the strip pause,
And then there's nothing there.
and then all of a sudden, like your line would just start going. You're like, what the hell?
Yeah, dude.
And you'd make one more strip, and then again it was like boom. I was like, oh, Dane. I was like, dude, I got another one. Like I got a big one again, dude. Like
Another hoss, dude.
dude, another
Unheard of.
dude. I was like 2 for 2. Like
Wow.
what the hell, man? Like that doesn't happen, dude. Like got this one in. We took it to shore, handled it.
I
Like
saw you, and you guys got the grip and grin on that one. That's the one. That's the photo you sent me, right?
so that was the second big one I caught, and it like
Wow.
Dane was like, which I get, I'd be doing the same thing. I'm like,
Like,
what the hell? Like,
Right.
what am I doing wrong? Like, and I was like, here,
Yeah.
Dane, dude. I was like, dude, I'm done. I've landed 2 big fish today.
Right.
I was like, I'm done here. Use this fly. I was like,
Right.
obviously they're eating this. Like, I just caught 3 in like 10 minutes. Like, obviously they're eating it. And so I walk out there with them, and I don't know. It's not like I'm guiding. I don't know what
Right.
the hell I'm doing. I'm just telling him what I was doing.
Right.
I was like, dude, I'm just telling
Just
you
trying
where
to
I was
figure this
casting
thing out
and what
here.
we're just trying to figure it out.
Right.
We're like, dude, we don't know what the hell we're doing. And the whole
Did
time while
Cameron's
all
voice
this mud,
change though? Is Cameron like, no, Dane?
No, dude.
Let me tell you a little something about pike fish.
that never happened. I don't think.
No, dude. Not
I think I
at all.
kept it pretty cool.
No.
I was just trying to work it out with you.
Right.
Well, because I was like, dude, what? Like, I'm strip pause. You're strip pause. I've thrown 97 different flies at him. What the fuck is happening?
Right.
Yeah, how is this?
Like, how are you trashing
And like,
fish and I'm not?
I get like the occasional like tug back, like is obviously a fish, maybe not a pike,
Right.
But
But something.
And so I was like, dude, I mean, what the fuck is this?
And so, like, we literally, like, the whole time while all this wind is happening and the mud is happening, like, we're seeing trout, like, freaking out.
Right.
Like, just hammering the surface and, like, freaking out, skipping across water. And we're like, dude, like,
Yeah.
something's happening out here.
Yeah.
Like, there's big fish pushing these trout around.
Of course, right?
And so, like, we literally walked out to, like, the same spot I was standing. I was like, all right, Dane, like, here's where I was standing. Here's where I was casting. Here's how it happened. Like, you should do the same. So he does it probably about 30, 40 casts, doing the same thing, strip, pause, and, like, I was like, man, like, let me show you. I was like, let me show you how I was stripping it real quick. Like, I don't know, like, if this is going to change anything.
Right.
Like, let me just show you how fast I was stripping, like, my momentum.
Your
just kind of
cadence.
like, my cadence on it. That's a great word. Good work.
Thanks.
Nice cadence.
And so I like barely cast out, like I'm worn out, dude.
Right.
I'm like, dude, my arm's tired. And Dane's casting a 10 weight. And I'm like, dude, I can barely cast this thing.
Ooh.
Basically, I showed him like the tempo. And it basically was like strip, pause, but you strip in your slack while you're pausing. Like
Right.
you just get your slack in because the current's moving those
Right.
bugs around,
you
and
also
moving your fly
strip
line.
the fly faster.
Yeah, so I was stripping it a little bit faster.
So were you giving it? Were
It was
you giving
literally
it
like
a long?
No,
tug?
it was like maybe
I was originally.
it
Okay.
was maybe like 12 inches.
Which
Like,
was
strip,
working the day
strip,
before.
Right.
yeah,
Right.
which is weird. It was like strip, like 12 inches, maybe.
Okay.
8 inches probably.
Yeah.
Strip, pause, and then strip in your slack, and that helps you keep your tempo a
that's-
little bit. Like boom, boom, strip your slack, strip your
your slack. Gotcha.
Strip your slack.
I like that beat.
Yeah,
I want to start dancing.
Yeah, it's
then.
good,
Yeah,
dude. We
dude.
need a little, what are they, metronome, dude.
Right.
No, dude, but he gives me the fucking rod back. First cast, fucking throwing way out there. And I like strip, pause. Just like he was doing all the way back, dude. All the way back. I had about 6 inches of fly line outside of my rod tip. And all of a sudden I feel a little something, dude, and I strip and lift, dude, and this fucking fish just goes.
Just same thing, just starts hammering line.
Screaming.
And you're like, what the hell just happened, dude? And he looked at me, he goes, are you kidding me? I've been doing it my way all day, and literally, I changed the tempo just a bit, and they start crushing it.
Isn't that something, though?
And
Like,
Dane, same thing, dude, like 35-inch pike, like immediately. And it was like, oh my God, Dane, like, how did that, like, we went 3 for 3 on big pike.
Right.
And never even saw a big pike ever. Like,
That's
before that.
That's so cool.
But then I was doing that quick strip, pause. The same thing today.
Strip.
Caught pike, dude.
Right. Yeah, well, that
But-
sounds...
So, like, we ended it on that. We're like, dude, we're done.
Yeah,
Let's
I
get
mean,
out of here.
right.
And literally, right when we got to the truck, it started just pounding rain. And we're like, that was perfect timing,
Perfect
dude. It was
timing.
meant to be.
Trash some
Everything
fish,
worked
got
out,
out before
dude.
we're soaked.
And I started thinking about it. I was like, I bet that dude who bum rushed our first spot probably didn't have the same day that we did today.
Guessing not.
I was like, I doubt he had such a good day.
Yeah, his blunder led
yeah.
to, like, you guys having an epic day on the...
But we went out yesterday, calm as could be. Just
Right.
like glass on the water. Didn't see a single pike. The wind never churned up the mud.
Right.
And like the only thing we could think is like these pike were just like pushing trout into these muddy coves and then just sitting on the outside waiting for them to come back out.
Right.
Yeah.
And the big ones were just sitting on the edge of the mud, just like, all right,
Yeah.
when you come out, I'm going to hammer you.
just ready to ambush
How,
him.
I mean, who knows how many big ones were sitting out there.
Yeah,
Right.
dude. They
We
could've
caught
just been
3.
like, nah,
Right.
fuck you.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I mean, would you do it the same way? Do you think you got lucky? Do you think you just got it
I keep
perfect?
trying to think about that. I'm like, what happened?
I mean, if you went out there tomorrow, do you think you'd get them?
Well, that's the thing is like, dude, I went out today, used the same method, went to a different spot,
Okay.
caught pike.
Okay.
So it's like, I don't know if it's.
But it wasn't
strip.
as windy. It wasn't as muddy.
No, dude, it was very similar to when we went out last night.
Yeah.
And so it's like, but I didn't catch any real big ones like we did. I caught a pretty decent one. You know, it's like 2-footer.
Okay.
But
yeah,
like-
a decent one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
they're big, man.
Yeah.
They're big fish.
But yeah, when he's 2 feet, he's also like.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're just. I mean, there's no girth.
Yeah, that's an axe handle.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, exactly.
You catch one over 30, and it's like all of a sudden they have this girth.
Yeah,
and
they
you're
pick
like,
up that.
Holy crap!
Yeah, they pick up that belly right then.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know if it was just like meant to be that day, or it's
Right.
like here's your day.
Right, because I'm talking about going out tomorrow, and I guarantee I'm going to come back like.
I think
"Ah."
like what we start
I'm
talking
still waiting for you
about-
guys to say, "Nah, we're just kidding."
And Dane, like, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, we don't know if we're wrong or not, but this is kind of what we were talking about. Is like, dude, I think like you got to hit it a certain time of day. Like if you can get out there, you know, by like 10 a.m.
Right.
Get to your spot, and all of a sudden that wind picks up and starts churning up mud, then you might have a chance.
Right. That's
Yeah.
like
That's the
ideal
only
conditions.
thing we could think about. We're
I
like,
think-
dude, you got to have that mud.
That there's a time like that the big fish come out and you can catch the little hammer handles and shit because
Right.
there's no danger of the big ones eating them. You know?
Right.
Because they'd be an easy meal.
Right. Yeah, I mean, God, that's crazy. I mean, like you, I've been doing this for 5 years and have not seen a pike,
Dude,
not
it's-
caught a pike.
Yeah, it's fucking disheartening, dude.
Right. And I mean, now you guys got me all reinvigorated. I guarantee you what's going to happen is I go out there tomorrow and I'm going to get freaking skunked.
Dude, I think that if you just keep fishing hard, like, because that's what I used to do.
Right.
I go out and an hour of I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'm gonna get one, and then all of a sudden it's like, fuck it, dude.
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah, you're all pumped. You show up and you blind cast for an hour and a half, and you're just like, well, this isn't
Now
really
I'm
very
worn out,
fun.
dude.
Right. Now I'm exhausted. I've seen no evidence of pike here.
But like we were talking about earlier before we started, dude, like we caught a brown yesterday, we caught a lake
Right.
yesterday, we've been catching rainbows. Like,
Right.
dude, like that didn't even used to happen. You didn't even used to get a tug.
Right.
So I don't know what.
Yeah, I mean, that's been my experience. I've just been out there blind casting for hours, and I don't see any signs of life, man. I might as well be
dude.
on the moon with water.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm going to go out tomorrow and take a stab at it and see. And I blame you guys for my skunkage tomorrow. I'm gonna be so bummed. I know,
Dude, like, so we talked to a guy. I don't know if you brought this up. I was in the restroom, in the lavatory,
Commode.
in the commode, whatever you want to call it. We talked to a guy right afterwards, and he was like, "Yeah, I mean, the bite was on. Like, he goes, we heard you guys hooping and hollering.
Right.
He goes, anything big?" And I was like, "Yeah, we landed 3 nice ones, like pretty big, like probably 35." And he's like, "The bite was on. Like, we were throwing this color, purple and black." And you're like, "Yeah, dude, like, I mean, the bite was on today."
Right.
Because we didn't see any big ones.
Okay.
Like, we just caught little guys all day. And he's like, "But it was good." And you're like, I honestly, at that point, I don't know if we just hit it right.
Right.
Whereas, like, I don't think color mattered. And I told the dude, I was like, I don't think the fly matters right now. I think it was the retrieve.
Right.
I think it was literally the retrieve. Because we changed up that retrieve and then
Instantly,
boom,
right.
instantly. It was like, oh, man.
First cast.
Right.
With like this minor adjustment, dude.
Right.
Little tempo change.
Insane.
Right.
I was standing there. I was like, damn, dude, I don't know if this is going to happen,
Well,
Dane.
dude.
Like, I don't know, like, what's going to happen.
Right.
Well, today the dude that I went out with, he got skunked, dude, and I got some pike. And it's like, I was doing that same retrieve. He wasn't. I don't know.
I think there's something to it.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about yesterday, too. I was like, maybe they just weren't where we were at. Maybe it was glass. It
Right.
wasn't windy. There was no mud, nothing. But I was like, maybe, on these days where it is calmer, maybe fly color does matter. Because
Yeah.
we were throwing flashy, obnoxious shit. Because we were
Right.
like, oh, this is what they were eating the other
Right.
day.
Maybe you need more natural.
Maybe you need that darker color, black and purple,
Right.
or, brown and something. I don't know.
Right.
I have no idea.
Some kind of rainbow mimic. Because I'm guaranteeing you that's what they eat most of.
Exactly what I was throwing.
Right.
He got a Laker on it, dude.
I mean, yeah.
He got a nice Laker on a little rainbow.
Did you bring that
streamer.
pattern? Can I have it?
Yeah, you can have it. It's in my
I don't
car.
know, man. The way
Nice.
the way I see it, I was like, dude, like at this point in time, like when it gets churned up like that, I was like, I don't think it matters what you're throwing.
Right.
I think it's just what they're looking for in the retrieve.
Yeah.
Like how these fish are moving.
Exactly. Right. No, I 100% agree.
Yeah.
I think the flashiness helped in the muddy water.
Yeah,
But-
dude, I think so too.
Because that one you gave me, that's obnoxious as hell, dude.
Yeah,
that
it's-
thing's annoying.
It's the only one. It's the only.
You're like, what? There's like 100 different materials in
I
that
know.
fly. You're like, what is
It's
this?
the only one Gene Taylor sold. That's all.
They sold that?
Yeah, that's where I got it.
Wow, they don't
What?
have anything like that anymore.
Yeah.
No, it's all.
I bought those
Real
two.
fucked.
I bought those 2 or 3 years ago. Man, I don't know. I've been getting skunked on them for 2 or 3 years too.
We did a lot of research on pike flies, and we didn't tie any like black ones. We didn't tie any like just like red and black or anything like that. But we did tie a lot of white and black because that's what was working the other
Right,
day.
right.
Or white and red. Sorry,
That makes sense.
that's
right?
what was working the
And
other
flash.
day. A lot of flash. We were like, dude, we need to make these things obnoxious.
Right.
But we went out there and it was just calm. I don't know if that. I mean,
That's got to be a game changer.
the thing I heard is like, all right, if it's calm, like they can see you, they can see everything going on,
right.
and they're not going to eat that well.
Right.
That makes sense.
It makes sense. I mean, it's same with trout. I mean,
Yeah, I guess so. I don't
if you're
know.
fishing
dude.
real slack water, I mean,
Well, it's
Yeah.
the same thing, dirty water with trout too. It's like, all right, throw something a little bit more flashy.
right.
Throw some obnoxious shit.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
And
You're
then tractor.
Yeah, you're trying to attract them. You're
But
not.
the whole time, like right before Dane hooked that fish, like we're seeing trout like
Right.
getting chased.
Right. You're in it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some energy
there's-
out there. Right.
There's pike around here somewhere. So it was interesting. Like, I mean, like I said, we're learning. We're trying to learn about
Right.
it. But who knows? We might have gotten lucky.
All right. Well, this is the most helpful podcast I've done with you because I'm going to try to take some of this.
Some
out
of
there
these
tomorrow.
techniques.
Yeah.
I mean, and yeah, we're just looking for weed beds and like drop offs,
Right.
and like
Just
almost
any
shelves,
kind of structure, right.
shelves in the lake or something. But like, there's a lot of these flats you can walk really far out on
Right.
and get out there, and you're like, I don't see any structure though.
Right.
I'm not seeing weed beds.
Right.
I'm not seeing because I think they're sitting on the weed beds and when it's calm, like they're hiding on those weed beds.
Right.
But we had this crazy idea that we think when it gets muddy like that they are pushing all those little trout into the coves.
It makes sense.
Who knows if they're herding up like velociraptors, and they're actually like pushing these things.
I don't know if pike worked that way.
I mean, but the fact that we caught 3 in there,
Right.
Maybe they all. I don't know if they gang up. I don't know if they school up and they're pushing all these
Well,
fish.
and here's
I just don't know.
Well, and there's
I
another.
wish we had a pike expert on.
Yeah,
I wish
dude,
Pike
seriously.
Mike was here.
Dude, I
Yeah.
think that he was just fishing with his heart.
Yeah,
I mean, he had it dialed.
yeah. He fished pike nonstop,
Nice.
anywhere you
Make
could.
fun of trout flies, dude. He's like, you guys are pussies.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, exactly. This dude was a beast.
Yeah, we need angler. Tell angler to.
Oh yeah.
chime in.
Well,
he's turned into quite the pike guy.
yep.
That's his game.
He's getting his pike on.
Yeah. I think he's got better water than we do too.
Yeah, I mean, what is he fishing? Navajo? Is it
I think
Navajo
so.
Lake or
I
whatever?
think so.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think there's just more water over there. More
Oh,
warm
definitely,
water.
definitely.
Not warm water, but just more pond structured, reedy stuff. Like,
More classic pike
yeah,
water.
our reservoir is just not classic. Pike
No,
water.
I mean they're high water or
Right.
high mountain lakes,
right.
dude.
They're
Like,
just. It's not a classic pike water situation.
I heard of somebody they caught a pike at Cooper's West when the water was like a lake, like years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
that
I don't know. I've never saw pictures. I don't know if this is true or not. This is all just
All right.
hearsay.
That's crazy.
I
don't-
heard it happen.
I'm not going to comment or speculate on any of that stuff.
Are there pike in the mesa?
I am not going to comment or speculate
son
on that
bitch.
stuff. I mean, come on, guys.
We'll talk about it after the podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Be realistic.
Some people just don't know what fish they're catching.
Yeah.
Well,
we got
okay,
a lot of
so
bucket
here-
biologists out there. I'll tell you
Here's
that
a
much.
here's a controversy that Dane and Bacon and I were talking about. Or it's like, why would people want to kill these fish? People are killing them. There's bounties on their
Right,
heads,
right.
dude. Not at Taylor, luckily,
Right.
but people still kill the crap out of them at Taylor.
I mean, point blank, period. If you're going to call them what they are, they're an invasive species. That's what they are.
But invasive to what?
They're invasive to that area. They don't belong there.
Okay, but what harm are they doing?
I mean, well, they could be eating. I mean, they're eating the trout population. They're eating the salmon population,
but
which
there's
are
a-
also invasive.
There's a shitload of those.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
But
like-
that's the whole thing. It's like it's all bureaucratic. It's what fish people want. I personally want them in there because I think they're awesome.
Yeah.
Dude.
Even though I still don't believe you that they're there.
my
Freaking
argument.
water wolf, dude.
Right, exactly. I mean,
my
they're freshwater
argument is
cudas.
that like, hey, look, when the guides aren't working, they're up chasing pike or doing something different.
Right.
You know, like let them be there.
Right. Well, the truth is, I mean, yeah, I don't want them to infiltrate every single fishery, obviously.
No.
But
I mean,
they're-
I've been transporting all the little guys to different lakes.
I
but-
put them in the CNR.
Yeah. They wreak havoc in there. It's insane.
Oh God, they would too.
Oh,
They'd
yeah.
kill it at the CNR, literally.
Sick, dude.
I've dropped at least a dozen.
let's
in the
just
Mesa.
let's just turn the catch and release into a pike fishery. It'd be
Yeah,
sick.
right.
Awesome.
That'd be so sick.
It'd be awesome. We'll have to put like some kind of pike cage.
But-
So it'll just take over.
Pike gauge or cage?
Cage.
Oh,
See,
okay.
yeah. See, we're doing this again.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like I don't want them gone,
Right.
but I see so many pictures on Instagram, Facebook, people just killing them.
Well, they're also delicious.
That's what John was saying. He's
Right.
like, "Oh, you guys eating them?" We're like, "Nah."
They're also, I mean, they're the best
I think
freshwater fish I've ever had next
we
to walleye.
might have like sold John.
walleyes.
Walleye are
We
fire.
might have sold John a little bit because we pushed it pretty hard. We were like, "Dude, no, we want to release him and like we want him to grow big. We want him here."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Huh." He's like, "You guys don't eat them?" We're like, "No, we put them all back."
Okay, so
And this is coming from fishing guides.
right,
That
right.
this is their living is fishing.
right,
I understand our economy, depends on people coming up here and catching trout and salmon, but
right.
like
They're awesome.
There's no pike in the Gunnison River, so
I hope not.
I mean, well, maybe after a week.
Cooper's
done,
West,
we-
dude. I don't know. I heard, dude, they're in there.
Oh, fish get into places. They have a way, but I don't know about all that. That's conjecture at best.
I don't know. I just I don't see Dane. I don't see the reason killing them.
I mean, I don't see the reason in killing them in an isolated lake where people enjoy having them. But not everyone sees everything the same way, I mean, look at lake trout versus salmon on Blue Mesa.
That's true.
Everyone throws a fit, and the people that are salmon people, they are huge advocates for salmon. The guys that are huge advocates for max, they throw a fit, and there's no pleasing the either or. That's just the game. Like not every some people like something else. I don't know, man. That's just kind of the game.
I think this is also what we brought up. We're like, I think if like you could put somebody on what we experienced, you know, where all of a sudden like a Mack truck hits your fly,
Right.
and you're like, oh shit. I think if you could do that and get somebody involved in that, they'd be like, okay,
Right.
I understand it
Like,
now.
this is pretty cool.
Like, this is pretty badass.
Right.
Dude, that's a full-blown apex predator that you just tricked.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And
You
they
know?
do. They hit it like a Mack truck. Those
Right.
big ones do. I was telling Dane even 2 nights ago, I was like, dude, I can't like stop thinking about it. I haven't stopped thinking about
Right.
it.
Yeah,
It's
dude.
like, I'm hooked, dude. I'm in.
I've
Yeah.
been 4 days in a row now.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm in, dude.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, you guys got me reinvigorated. I'm
it's
going
like,
tomorrow.
dude, that was unbelievable.
Right.
Like when you hooked a big one, it was well worth the wait. I'll
Right.
say that.
Yeah, I agree.
It was well worth the wait.
100%.
I'll talk. We'll talk next
Yeah,
podcast.
we'll see how you do.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's just like,
I'm into it. I like.
I
that
know
they're
you
there.
are,
I wish
yeah.
we had more water for them. I wish there was more places to go. I mean, I know you can go to like 11 Mile. There's big.
but
pike
there's
there.
a bounty on their head at 11 miles.
Yeah. So you were saying there's a bounty. We were just talking about that.
What
So
is
there's
it?
not a bounty at Taylor.
No.
Okay.
I think-
They just like killing them
Did
at Taylor.
you see? There's I think. Yeah, I mean, don't quote me, but there's like a statewide bounty now, and
Really?
you can just bring them in from where it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, my fiance was telling me about this.
You bring a fucking pike in from wherever, dude.
$20 bounty.
bucks.
I'm just going to start bringing sucker fish in, dude. Like, I'll take half. I'll take 10.
$10.
Yeah, I'll take 10, dude.
Who's
Sell
good?
them
Now
to
that at
Burfield.
Cooper
I
will
want to
stop.
talk. I want to talk to the guy that'll give you $10 for a sucker fish.
You can catch pike and massive Lakers on them.
That's true.
Every time I talk to somebody
Sucker
who
meat
fishes
kills it.
for Lakers,
Sucker
they're
meat
like,
kills it.
they're like,
Yeah.
dude, keep all the suckers
Yeah.
you catch and throw them in the cooler. I'm like, dude, I don't want those things even in my net.
Yeah, they're
But
nasty.
it's like it's
So
the
are
only
bonefish.
indigenous species in the river.
Not the only indigenous. There's lots of different indigenous species, but I can tell you the only other one is cutthroat trout.
Yeah, but there's not many of those in the Gunnison.
No, I don't know.
Like up in the Coach Tub, I think I caught like a chub. Are those indigenous?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are all
Yeah.
native species for sure. There's a lot of indigenous
Yeah.
species that we consider kind of trash fish, but they don't fight hard. They're not that awesome.
Suckers fight pretty hard, dude.
Suckers
Especially when you hook them in the back of the head.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, in the back of the head.
I only hook my
So,
suckers. 100% of the
here's
time I
the
hook
rule,
my
dude.
suckers in the side.
Here's the rule.
I like the leaf.
I'm going to call it right now. We've been saying it for years, but high water rule this year. Every time you catch a sucker in the mouth, you got to tongue it, dude. Or at least stick your finger in there.
Well, I always stick my
Don't
finger in.
say it, Dan.
I know what you're thinking.
I know what you're thinking, Dan.
I've seen the photo mimics, but don't go for it. And I don't know if they'll give it back,
I feel
dude.
like that. I don't think they would, dude.
I don't know if
think
they'll give
you'd
it back,
I
buddy.
think you'd get mangled.
In fact, now that I'm thinking about it, Dane,
Turn into a split tail after that, dude.
$10 bounty, I'll give you a $50 bill if you.
Oh, yeah, dude, it's on.
Is that bestiality?
Nah, dude.
Okay. Is it bestiality if you enjoy it?
I don't know. That's
Yeah,
I don't
it
know
is.
if
It is.
I don't know if I have a leg to stand on here.
I'll go ahead and answer my own question. Yes.
Don't do that.
We are not advocates for making love to sucker fish.
But I mean, if you want to just try like a little finger in there, just
I mean,
see
for
what happens.
$50 though.
I'll be willing to lose it.
I feel like I should get kudos for saying making love, you know?
Yeah, you
I'm keeping
did.
it decent
yeah,
on there, man.
instead of screwing or instead of raping a sucker
I think that's
hole.
more of an appropriate term, dude.
But okay, do you think like if you put your finger in a sucker's mouth, you think they just done?
Nah,
Dude, like
nah, man.
I feel like it'd be tough. It'd be like a Chinese finger trap, dude. You got to push it in first to pull it out. Dude. You're like, whoop, wah.
Nah, I don't think so.
Quick move, dude. Just
I think you
Chinese finger trap, dude.
freaking suckerfish ninja over here.
Dude, I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna put my dangle little finger in there and see what happens.
Well, try to catch one barehanded first, bud.
Yeah, no. I told Dane about that the other day.
That's a highlight of my life.
That's
Yeah.
nuts.
God, and
They're
there was
slimy as shit, dude.
Andy Hollywood, dude. There's 2 people watching.
Yeah.
Dude, he literally like we watched this sucker. He's like, I'm gonna get it, and he just went boom, bare hand, dude, bear clawed it.
I just picked up. I was like, oh.
These dudes across the bank were like, that was awesome. Like, yeah, dude,
Yeah.
no big deal. You
That's
come fish
what
with
we
us.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come fish with us, bro.
Yeah, man.
We bare hand fish all
Leave the
the
rod
time.
at home.
Yeah.
Cameron Rhodes. Come out, fish with me.
Yeah, fish with
We
me.
bare hand suckers.
Here's my card. Put your finger in there.
I think, yeah, and got a good old fashioned upside down grip and gun
Oh, yeah.
too.
Nice.
We've had a couple of those. The upside down gripper gun with the suckers are the best.
That's kind of my jam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to get one upside down gripper gun, finger in its mouth.
I caught a 20-inch.
Oh,
I caught a 20. Well, I snagged a 20-inch
We'll
sucker
put
on the Lake Fork
bratwurst
the other
in
day.
there, dude. Maybe we should try bratwurst first. A hot dog, see what
We'll
happens.
put Dane's bratwurst in there. And see.
Whatever, dude. $50.
$50, $50. Man's got to eat.
The problem is I need proof and I don't want it.
Oh, you're gonna get it.
You're gonna get it. Yeah, maybe we need to test the waters with the old freaking Oscar Mayer.
Yeah, I just don't want to
Before
lose
we
my.
put a finger in there.
I just don't want to lose $50 and my dignity in one day.
You might. You might.
I know Dane will. He'll gain $50 and lose his dignity.
He's like, dude, dignity's already
Dignity
gone.
be damned.
Yeah, it's already gone. I got this covered, boys.
I'm fishing for suckers, man. So
$50 is $50, dude.
Dane's
Oh,
just hooting
man.
and hollering. He's got this bulldog tug. He's like, I know what this is. I'm about to make $50.
This getting dirty.
get the net. Get the net.
Get the net. We need to net this puppy.
Well, and for your best interest, I'm going to retract that bet because I'm scared that you will fall through.
I don't think he's capable of it either.
I don't-
I'll put a 50 on it.
Okay.
Oh, shit, dude.
You got $100 right on.
I mean,
this,
if
dude.
Cameron's going to put
You got
50
a
in it.
Franklin ride on this, dude.
That's
Damn.
gnarly, dude.
Yeah.
That's gnarly. I think we should go float and then I'll just be there so I don't have to send any pictures.
You don't want, yeah.
You don't want that dick pic.
You don't want that.
What is that?
I
shit.
think Peter might throw a fit over that one too, man.
This can't reach the internet.
That
We should probably quit talking about it now.
we shouldn't have talked about it in the first place.
Well, dude, you know, I'm sorry. That's my bad.
Yeah.
I brought it up.
You're supposed to keep it decent. You are the
Am I?
Yeah, you're the host.
I mean,
With the,
We
you're-
just follow your lead, dude.
yeah.
you know I'm going to take it off the deep end
Yeah.
every time, dude.
Wow, this is going to be the most listens we get anyway.
You see this mustache, dude? You see this mustache?
Yeah. This is
I'm
a great
capable of
mustache.
anything.
Cameron's
I like that.
rocking the good old fashioned handlebar, deep handlebar. I mean,
That's like a Fu Manchu,
yeah.
dude.
I feel like I need to trim it up a little bit.
Just every time I see you, I just want to say orderly. You know.
You don't even know what I want to have to say about it. All right, I think
We're about to hit the bottom of the barrel. I believe.
yeah, I think we did it. It's a long one, but I think we covered a lot of stuff.
I really enjoyed hearing you guys talk about catching pike because God knows I don't.
Yeah, good
freaking
luck.
know how to
Good
do it.
luck, idiot.
I got a paddleboard and an 8-weight.
You need a handlebar mustache.
Yeah,
I
well,
think.
I can't grow one of those.
Dane had one at one point in time, but
Yeah,
it wasn't real.
Yeah, I taped it on.
Yeah,
Ah.
they were fake mustaches that we turned into a handlebar, but it was badass.
If you shave yours, just shave yours off. I'll wear yours.
Yeah, you can have it.
Ah,
Dude.
okay.
I'll just put it on some tape. and
Yeah.
you can just
That's
yeah,
almost
see
as
what you
weird
feel.
as Dane and suckerfish.
Get a
man.
handlebar, you'll catch massive trout or massive pike. Is the moral of the story, I think.
Okay. And neoprene waders.
Don't put your pecker in a sucker's face. Don't try to put your pecker in a sucker's mouth. I think. Yeah.
Let's end it on that.
Yeah. End it on that. Thanks, guys.
Over and out.
Guided trip.